Management for the very first time. He makes 5 changes tonight from Fleetwood's draw against Derby County at the weekend. Jakub Stolarczyk, a Polish goalkeeper who's on loan from Leicester, makes his debut for Fleetwood. It's a back four of summer signing Sean Rooney, another summer signing Josh Earl, Drew Baker, who's making his debut, and Danny Andrew at left back. It's the first time this back four have played together. In midfield, Brendan Wiraboo will sit in deep. Harvey McAdam and Carl Johnson will try and push on. And then 2 fast wingers, Jed Garner and Cian Hayes, either side of veteran striker Joe Garner. Garner, who's making his first start of this season. Fleetwood, who play here at the Highbury Stadium, same name as the old Arsenal ground, and their shirts, they're stripped very much Arsenal-esque. The red body with the white sleeves, white shorts, red socks. They will play from right to left as we look down. Everton all in blue. Everton who've got Asmir Begovic in goal. Seamus Coleman is back, his first start of the season after injury, alongside Michael Keane and Reece Welch at the back. Then Nathan Patterson and Ruben Vinagre, the new recruit from Portugal. They're the wing backs. Amadou and Iwobi in the middle of the midfield. Damari Gray and Dwight McNeil supporting Solomon Rondon up front. It is a team that Frank Lampard will hope is strong enough to get this job done comfortably against League One opposition tonight. Possession of the back with Drew Baker, who plays it long down the left channel. He's overstruck it, and it goes out of play for a throw-in to Everton. Right full-back position for them. Late arrivers, forcing spectators to stand up to let them by to get to their seats and obscuring our view away to the left-hand side. Good crowd in here, not quite full to the capacity, 5,000, but when you consider that the population of Fleetwood is only 25,000, they would need 1 in 5 people in this town in here if they were to fill the ground out. Throw in to Everton. Nathan Patterson, the January signing from Rangers, takes it, and a bit of room here for Reece Welch, who's made 1 senior appearance for the club before. That was in the FA Cup last season against Boreham Wood, and he plays it back into the middle to Michael Keane, another who's making his first appearance of the new campaign. Everton, who've brought in Conor Cody and has already become ahead of Michael Keane in the pecking order for Frank Lampard this season. The early stages, the game's still settling down, and Fleetwood would love a good start here, Stephen.
What's the game like, Connor?
Well, I can tell you, there's a lot of baseball caps, there's a lot of people's bags, a lot of trimmed haircuts. You know, we're seeing the back of the fans as they go past.
We can't see the game yet. There's that many people just walking in, a little bit late.
It is the joy of the early rounds of the League Cup. We're squeezed in like sardines here at Highbury and Fleetwood, just up the road from Blackpool. As Dwight McNeil, the former Burnley man, touches it back towards the edge of the penalty area. Seamus Coleman will look for a bit of space, and he rolls it in front of Reece Welch away to the left-hand side. Very interested to watch Amadou Onana here tonight. He only turned 21 on Tuesday, the new signing from Lille in France. So I was at the Everton game at Aston Villa just over a week ago, and he came on for a cameo, and he was only on the pitch for maybe 10-15 minutes. He was involved in giving away a goal, he was involved in scoring a goal. I think he's going to be fun to watch. He is tall, present, he looks like a basketball player. I think his father was a professional basketball player. And Onana, I'm just intrigued to see how he settles into English football.
I'm exactly the same, Connor. I think he's hugely gifted. I think, like you say, the athleticism that he possesses, but not only that, his ability on the ball. Saw some lovely touches from him in that game. What a ball that is from Seamus Coleman.
Coleman picking out Vinagre on the left-hand side. He's immediately closed down by Sean Rooney, who's got the bleached blonde hair over on the far side, the right back for Fleetwood, and the ball goes out of play for a throw-in to Everton. Onana is a good player. He's been capped in recent months by the Belgian international team, and well, let's just say they're not short of talented midfielders, so if you get into that team, you've got to be good. Everton have spent the money on him, and they're hoping that he can help transform their sluggish start to the campaign. Here's a touch for Solomon Rondon. Can't get it back to a teammate, but he's fortunate to see the ball returned to him. And then Damari Gray has it on the left-hand side for Everton. The Premier League side trying to inject a bit of pace as Damari Gray spins it out to the near touchline. Cushioned header in field from Nathan Patterson, taken off his toe by his teammate Dwight McNeil. And Everton are trying to attack down the right-hand side, but they will make no further inroads because the flag is raised and Everton have been caught offside. So Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0 here. The 7:45 kickoff on 5 Live. There's been some early action at Cambridge against Southampton. Here's Chris Wise and Phil Brown.
Still goalless, Connor, but Southampton, the Premier League side, thought they had their noses in front. Shea Adams, who scored a couple of goals at the weekend with a terrific finish, bouncing off the post into the back of the net. But Phil Brown, the flag was raised, the assistant referee spotting a handball.
Well, we were a fair distance away from it, but it was a right distance by the looks of it. He used his muscle and his strength, his upper body strength, to muscle the ball into a position where he could get a shot off, but he definitely used the upper body and the hand, so disallowed goal.
They've started brightly, the Premier League side. They're coming forward again here with Jan Valery. It is still Cambridge 0, Southampton 0.
Thanks very much, Chris and Phil. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0 here. Everton have it with Michael Keane at the back, a ball into the centre circle to Onana, neat and tidy. He flings it back up into the air, spiralling down onto the foot of Seamus Coleman. And Everton work their way up towards the halfway line. 19 tickets sold tonight at Bolton. Aston Villa, the visitors. Lee Blakeman's there for us.
Nil, Aston Villa 0, but Bolton should be ahead. Ellis Kachunga's just had a great shot from 20 yards out. It looked like it was going to fly into the bottom corner, just wide of the post though. Bolton 0, Villa 0.
It is half-time in the game against Walsall and Charlton. That was an earlier kick-off tonight. It is 0-0 in that one there. Everton with defending to do here as Joe Garner puts pressure on Nathan Patterson. Patterson calm and relaxed. The right back with number 3 on his back. Works it back to Asmir Begovic. Begovic, who made 3 Premier League appearances last season, starts for Everton tonight in the League Cup. We mentioned that Tom Davis had to pull out after an injury in the warm-up. Replacing him on the bench tonight, another goalkeeper, Billy Crellin, a 22-year-old who's from Blackpool in these parts. Oh, here's a good attack. Garner down the right-hand side into the penalty area for Fleetwood. Good covering, defending by Keane. And Garner tried to go around him, lost his balance, and the ball goes out for a goal kick. That's the first proper attack of the game. 5 minutes played. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0.
Yeah, lovely play from Garner down the right-hand side, and he just takes on Reece Welsh and he beats him comfortably. And you're thinking, just pull the ball back to your namesake, Joe Garner, who'd made a lovely run in, then checked his run, pulled out to the edge of sort of the 6 yard box, and he was there for a free shot. Wrong decision making. Could that have cost Fleetwood?
Tamari Gray received that well in front of Wiradu, and now he sprints away down the right wing. He fancies a run on Andrew too, and Andrew leaning into him. Danny Andrew, the left back, wouldn't allow Tamari Gray past him. Gray gives an accusing look at the officials, but there's no foul, and that is a goal kick to Fleetwood away to our right hand side. It's a very pleasant evening here. Plenty bright sunshine. I mean, we will miss this, the bright evenings for the evening football. Soon it'll be pitch dark at kickoff for these 7:45 games. A few seagulls attracted by the floodlights have come in. A smell of cod in the air. It's traditionally a big fishing town. And I was reading, Stephen, the biggest employer in Fleetwood these days, a company called Lofthouse of Fleetwood, who you will know as the lozenge maker Fisherman's Friend. That is made in Fleetwood.
Oh, nice.
More on that in a moment, but we're going to go to Wolves because Sohail Sahi's got a goal. Wolves against Preston.
Wolves 1, Preston 0. Connor, very strong lineup from Wolves tonight, and it's paid dividends after 8 minutes. Good work down the left hand side from Aït-Nouri. He squared it for Raul Jimenez, who slotted it home from 4 yards away. Wolves 1, Preston 0.
Thanks very much, Sohail. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0. The reason I bring up Fisherman's Friend and other lozenges are available. I was told today how many Fisherman Friends they sell around the world every year. If you were to put it in terms of money, how much money is sold of Fisherman's Friends a year? Have a think about that for a moment. As a throw-in for Everton, right wing-back position for them. The 3 central defenders tonight, Coleman, Keane and Welsh, with Patterson the right wing-back. And a throw-in will be taken by Patterson up towards Solomon Rondon. I'll tell you this, more money is spent on Fisherman Friends a year than Solomon Rondon's transfer fee. That's an opening gambit, considerably more. Here's Onana. More money is spent than Onana's transfer fee.
I was going to say he was a free transfer, Solomon Rondon, so it wasn't much.
Tamari Gray tries to run into the penalty area, but it bounces away from him, and Stolarczyk is confident enough to allow it past his body. He knew it was going to go out for a goal kick. So,
do you want my guess?
Go on, give us your guess.
I'm going to go for about 90 million.
9-0. Whoa.
You went big.
You
built it up like it was huge.
Big. It is big, it's not that big. £60 million worth of Fisherman's Friend lozenge.
Wow.
Sold around the world every year. So there you go. Made in Fleetwood, where we are tonight on 5 Live, as Harvey McAdam controls the ball. Joined Fleetwood last January from Ashton United. And the ball is played back by Sean Rooney. Back to the goalkeeper, Stolarczyk, who is closed down by Rondon. Rondon went sprinting in on him. Charged down the clearance, but it still got away from the penalty area. And Fleetwood breathe again. Here's Carl Johnson coming over the halfway line. Fleetwood playing right to left as we look down in the red. Everton in blue. That's a good pass to Ged Garner. Edge of the penalty area. Tries to get into a shooting position, but it's charged down. Everton have been forced to sit very deep here. Johnson again. Tries a shot. Tight angle. Begovic had his angles covered at the front post. Bit of confidence from Fleetwood here, and they'll be very pleased with the way that this has started for Scott Brown's team so far. 0-0. Crawley against Fulham. Crawley second bottom of League Two against a Premier League Fulham who are unbeaten this season. John Southall's watching.
Crawley 0, Fulham 0. Chance of peace. The first one to Joe Bryan of Fulham, left of the area, smashed it over the bar. Then Nichols, stooping header straight at Rodek. Crawley 0, Fulham 0.
Thanks very much. Colchester are playing Brentford this evening at the Western Homes Community Stadium. Mike Williams is there for us. Mike.
Colchester 0, Brentford 0. Connor, the first chance of the game, they fell to the home side. Alex Newby with an early sighter at goal after 2 minutes. He was in space, edge of the D, but his shot was skewed wide of the right-hand post. Since then, Brentford, who have made 11 changes, remember, have grown into this one against their League Two opposition, passing it around very nicely. It's Colchester 0, Brentford 0.
Yeah, there's a goal in the Barrow against Lincoln City game. That was one of the 7:45 kickoffs. Barrow 0, Lincoln City 1. Anthony Scully has scored the opening goal there. Barrow of League Two against Lincoln City of League One. Here at Highbury Stadium, free kick for Fleetwood for an offside decision. Stolarczyk comes a couple of paces outside his penalty area, wearing all green, launches it high and long, lands near the edge of the Everton penalty area way to our left-hand side. Joe Garner jumping in the air as a pull of Seamus Coleman's shirt. Two of them square up to each other just momentarily. Play continues. Ball's played back into that area again. Patterson jumps, pushed to the back by Garner, and that will be a free kick to Everton. And Seamus Coleman comes over and gives a little tap on the back of Joe Garner and says, calm down, take it easy. But Garner looks pumped up. The 34-year-old would love to make an impression against Premier League opposition here this evening. Here's Ruben Vinagre, once of Wolves, says that coming to Everton, part of the reason he was convinced to do so because Ashley Cole is on the coaching staff at Goodison these days, and Vinagre as a left back feels he has much that he can learn from Ashley Cole, one of the best in that position in the past. This is Reece Welch over the halfway line for Everton, giving it to Vinagre, who's midway inside the Fleetwood area. Fleetwood half, I should say. Sean Rooney putting pressure on him. Iwobi tries to break into the box. It's going to fall to Damari Gray here. Back to goal on the edge of the D. Leaves it to Onana. Heavy white ankle strapping for Amadou Onana. Iwobi involved again here with the lime green boots. Back to the halfway line to Coleman. Coleman short to Patterson on the right-hand side. This was a decent run of passes for Everton, but then it broke down when Onana can't pick out Damari Gray, and Fleetwood clear it away. Everton are trying to get it going, but I think there's a few shades of the problems they've been having this season. They don't look overly confident, Stephen Warner.
No, they don't look like they've got many ideas when they pick the heads up. It's sort of off the cuff. There's no passages of play.
Here is Dwight McNeil, bit of space, tries to keep the shot low, and it deflects off Drew Baker, and it goes out for a corner. First corner of the evening for Everton, away to the left-hand side as they come forward. Dwight McNeil was given a little bit of space there, looking for his first goal for his new club, and it's Drew Baker on his debut who's put it out for this corner, and Nathan Patterson, the player, jogging across to take it. Sheffield Wednesday have taken the lead in one of the earlier kickoffs. Sheffield Wednesday 1, Rochdale 0. That one started at 7:30. Jaden Brown has scored the goal there midway through the first half. Here comes the delivery. Patterson high and floated towards Iwobi at the back post, whose first touch was very good to control. Then back into the mix. Reece Welch tried to jump, couldn't get his head to it. Rooney takes a touch to control. That was confident and clears it out of the penalty area for Fleetwood. That's about as dangerous as Everton have been in the penalty area so far.
Well, what touch from Iwobi. Lets it go over his shoulder and then just sticks a right leg out, brings it down comfortably. It was a lovely passage of play from him. He's been the one player since Frank Lampard's come in who's been vastly improved and has thrived under Frank Lampard.
Equaliser for Barrow, who had only recently gone behind at home to Lincoln City, but David Moyo makes it Barrow 1, Lincoln City 1. Let's go an update to Blundell Park. Grimsby against Nottingham Forest of the Premier League. Charlie Slater's there for us. Charlie.
14 minutes gone. Grimsby 0, Forest 0. Forest should have been ahead inside the first 5 minutes. Alex Myton's cross fell to Emmanuel Dennis. He should have scored in his debut with his first couple of touches. He missed, put it wide, still 0-0.
It is Championship against Premier League at Carrow Road. Aaron Paul.
0, Bournemouth 0. First big chance of the visitors. Christian Sadie with a shot, it deflected away, but into the path of Jayden Anthony in plenty of space. He planted his header wide. 0-0.
Thanks very much, Aaron. Portsmouth with a very good start to the season. They are third in League One. They've taken the lead tonight away at Newport. Newport of League Two. It's Newport 0, Portsmouth 1. As Nathan Patterson comes forward down the right hand side here for Everton. Everton playing from left to right as we look down. Seagulls swirling in the air at Highbury Stadium as Damari Gray plays a nice 1-2 on the edge of the penalty area, then uses some strength and good balance too to force his way into the box. He's held up in there by Josh Earl and forced back outside the penalty area once again. Everton remain on the attack. Damari Gray's got support from Patterson outside him, rolls it to the byline. Patterson crosses it in low, it's deflected, falls for Dwight McNeil here on the edge of the penalty area, but again good work rate from Fleetwood. Pressure applied, Everton have been forced back here. Coleman's under pressure from Cian Hayes, and eventually Everton lose possession, and the Fleetwood fans are enjoying this. Many of the 50-50 battles in midfield so far have been won by the home side. That's a battle won by Everton though, as Michael Keane jumps strong and beats Joe Garner in the air and clears it back into the other half. Fleetwood 0, Everton 0 here. There's a goal at Cambridge. Chris Wise.
Cambridge 0, Southampton 1. You sense this has been coming because the Premier League side have been dominant in the opening 16 minutes. Lewis Payne, the youngster on his debut, making the move down the right, pulling it across. Shea Adams inside that 6-yard box. Phil Brown to tap in.
Absolute quality in the final third. You can only say it about Armstrong, about Shea Adams, and the young kid that's came, into the fold. Lewis Payne. He's produced the pass of the game that's created the first goal.
They've looked sharp so far, Saints. Cambridge 0, Southampton 1. Adams goal.
Thanks very much, Adams, who got a couple of the weekend. Hadn't scored since January, I think, or was it February before that, but he's on a roll now. Here come Everton with Vinagre into the penalty area left hand side. The cross is just too high for Rondon. He would have had a free header. The defenders were sucked towards that front post area. Rondon had stayed in the middle. Vinagre's cross was inches too high, and that is unfortunate for Frank Lampard's team after a decent build-up. Here's Iwobi in the penalty area. Right-footed shot is wild and into the spectators behind the goal. He really went for power more than accuracy there. And Iwobi, who got 3 goals in all competitions last season, fails to hit the target.
Yeah, well, it's just that part of the pitch now where Everton getting down the side, and then there's a reluctance to put the ball in the middle. Well, who's in the middle? Solomon Rondon. He doesn't want intricate balls into his feet. He wants that ball into the box where he can go and attack it and go and win headers. It's the first moment we've seen that from the left-hand side.
There is a goal at Crawley. Crawley against Fulham tonight. John Southall.
We have lift-off. Crawley 1, Fulham 0. Tom Nichols with it. Really good finish. Left of the area into the bottom right-hand corner. Crawley, second bottom of the whole Football League. Lead Premier League Fulham by a goal to 0.
That's very much Derby County, who played here against Fleetwood at the weekend in League One. It was a 0-0 draw. They've taken the lead tonight at home against West Bromwich Albion. West Brom have had a slow, sluggish start in the Championship this season. It is Derby 1, West Bromwich Albion 0. This is a throw-in for Fleetwood just down below us. Danny Andrew. There's been a goal at the Bradford against Blackburn game. Let's go to Valley Parade and Steve Wyeth.
And the League Two side are in front against their Championship opposition, and the man who scored twice in the previous round against Hull has scored again. Andy Cook tapping in from point blank range after excellent work from Scott Banks. Blackburn had been on top, but it's Bradford 1, Blackburn 0.
Fleetwood on the attack in the penalty area. Joe Garner with the back to goal, waits for Andrew to arrive. A storming run from left back, but Patterson challenges him. Had to be careful inside the penalty area, and Fleetwood now have got to get back in defensive mode as Everton launch it long. Cushioned down header by Drew Baker, and they work it back to the goalkeeper Stolarczyk away to our right hand side. Still Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0. This is the second round of the Carabao Cup on the BBC tonight. Watford against MK Dons. In fact, we're going to go there in just a moment because there's a goal at Grimsby. Grimsby against Forest. Charlie Slater.
It's gone to the Premier League side of real quality as well. Emmanuel Dennis crossed it down the right hand side to Ryan Yates just inside the penalty area. First time on the volley, straight into the top corner of the net. 18 minutes gone. Grimsby 0, Forest 1.
Thanks, Charlie. Watford hoping to bounce back up to the Premier League. They've begun on well with a second place in the championship for now. They're hosting MK Dons, third bottom of League One. Flo Pollock is there for us.
Still goalless here. MK Dons with the best player, shot at the near post, and Will Grigg nearly got one-on-one with the goalkeeper, if not for a last-minute tackle. Watford 0, MK Dons 0.
Thanks very much. So Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0 here. Fleetwood, who are 14th in League One. Everton, who are 17th in the Premier League. Here's Patterson, gives it one side of the defender, runs around the other, pulls it back for McNeil, who had to score. That's a terrible effort from Dwight McNeil. He had the goal at his mercy. He tried to side-foot it, but it's not just wide, it's dramatically wide and tame. That is not good enough from an Everton point of view.
No, it's not. It was lovely play from Patterson down the right-hand side. Little cheeky nutmeg on Danny Andrew, the left back from Fleetwood Town, and then he picks the pass out into Dwight McNeil, and he goes with his left foot and tries to open his body out. He should just clinically hit it with his right foot across the goal, and he's got a simple goal for him to open his Everton account, but he fluffs his lines.
Newport County making it 1-1 at home to Portsmouth, a Will Evans goal. Frank Lampard's come to the edge of the tiny technical areas here to just applaud the build up to that goal, if not quite the finish from Dwight McNeil. McNeil, who's taken over the number 7 shirt from Richarlison. Big boots to fill there. And 2 years ago, when Everton came here to this stadium to play Fleetwood in this competition, the first 2 goals in the game were both scored by Richarlison. And you think of how they struggled last season with the Brazilian in the team, it just feels it's going to be a lot harder without him now.
It certainly will. Trying to fill that void. They need a striker through the door, because Solomon Rondon's not going to get you sort of 15-20 goals a season the way that Everton play. The big question is will Anthony Gordon be here at the end of the transfer window, or will they decide to cash in on him and use that money to buy a striker?
It's become one of the big transfer stories of August, hasn't it? Anthony Gordon. No matter how many times Everton refuse, Chelsea seem to keep coming back with bigger offers, and they're very keen to get their man. Let's go for an update to Edgeley Park. Stockley Park have got... Let's try that again. Let's go to Edgeley Park. Stockport have got Premier League opponents visiting them. Leicester are there. Chris Cole.
And Leicester, Connor, have just had the best opportunity of the game. Really good save by Stockport goalkeeper Václav Jaros to deny Kelechi Iheanacho. Not a great deal has happened prior to that. The Premier League side dominating possession without doing a great deal with it. 21 minutes played. Stockport 0, Leicester 0.
Yes, Chris, I think I was having a VAR moment there with Stockley Park. We hear that too often, don't we? Norwich Bournemouth, the goal for Aaron Paul.
Norwich 1, Bournemouth 0. Jordan Hugo opens the score in there. It was a long-range shot just on the edge of the D by Gabriel Sara, parried out by Neto. There was Hugo, clinical with his finish. Norwich 1, Bournemouth 0.
There has been a little bit of drama at Bolton. Lee Blakeman.
Yeah, 0-0 Bolton and Villa. Villa have had the ball in the net. Watkins got the touch as the shot came in from the edge of the area. If he'd left it, it would have stood. Instead, he poked it in from an offside position, so the goal doesn't stand. Bolton 0, Aston Villa 0.
Here at Highbury Stadium, Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 0. Fleetwood doing okay against their high-profile Premier League opponents. They've had 1 or 2 scares, but they've asked a few questions themselves as Harvey McAdam makes a dribble towards the edge of the Everton penalty area. Michael Keane gets it back for the visitors, but he did us a little bit in clearing it, and McAdam's able to run back and win possession off him. Mistake by Michael Keane, and it's little errors like that that are making life difficult for Everton.
And they're playing well. I like the way that Fleetwood have set up, and Scott Brown's got his team playing, because what he's doing is he's not inviting the press from kickoffs, from goal kicks. He's playing long, but when they get the ball and they retain it, they're starting to play round the back but on the halfway line, and they're drawing Everton players out and trying to pick through them when they can. I think they're trying to target Reece Welsh in the sort of right of the 3 at the back position, trying to get at him in a 1v1 situation.
Yes, Reece Welsh, the youngster who's in the team tonight, just his second appearance for Everton. Both have been in cup competitions. He's got to be aware here, because McAdam's attacking down his side, gets to the edge of the penalty area. Wobie comes back, weak in the tackle. He got in to make a challenge, but he wasn't able to get the ball, and Fleetwood hold on to it with Danny Andrew up from left back on the left hand side with the white boots, tries to take on Dwight McNeil. Good challenge for McNeil, and that goes out corner to Fleetwood, away to our left hand side. Let's nip to the Oval. An update from the 100 with Henry Moran.
167 is the target for the Oval Invincibles. Crucial clash just between them and the Birmingham Phoenix. 2 wickets have fallen early in the innings. Will Jackson, Riley Rousseau both out. Jason Roy is still there. 11 for 2 after 10.
Thanks, Henry. We're midway through the first half at Highbury still 0-0 here. We go straight to Bolton because Lee Blakeman's got a goal.
Bolton 1, Aston Villa 0. Great move down the left. Ball pulled across the penalty area, and Kieran Lee rifled it in from 12 yards. This place is bouncing. Bolton 1, Aston Villa 0.
2 defeats out of 3 for Aston Villa at the start of the Premier League season, and now behind away at League One Bolton. It could be an interesting time for Steve Gerrard and company. We'll be back with Lee Blakeman for any updates as the evening progresses there. Here at Fleetwood Town, mentioned Reece Welsh is in the starting team for Everton. They've got a few youngsters on the bench too. Stanley Mills, who is the son of Danny Mills, the former England international. Danny Mills, who played alongside Frank Lampard for England in the past. Isaac Price, an 18-year-old who made his debut in the Premier League against Arsenal the last day of last season. Lewis Warrington is on the bench too, another youngster who spent the second half of last season on loan at Tranmere. And Everton, who've got a long history of blooding youngsters in this competition, but Frank Lampard keeping most of them on the bench so far. He's got the experienced players on the pitch because he needs a win. Regardless of what the competition is, Everton need the morale boost of a first victory of the season. Here is Jed Garner, who scored the winner in the last round against Wigan. It was a header to give Fleetwood this glamour tie against Premier League opposition. It was a decent attempt of a pass from Cian Hayes, and in fact it does work its way through to Sean Rooney because Vinagre wasn't able to deal with it. Cross comes in just too high in the middle for Garner, and it goes out of play for an Everton goal kick. And Fleetwood continued to create chances here. 25 minutes played 0-0.
Well, they're dominating in midfield because they've got 3 in midfield and they're playing against Onana and Iwobi, and they're getting outnumbered, getting out-possessioned. And down that right-hand side, Sean Rooney's made some lovely runs from right back. The timing of his runs have been superb.
Sheffield Wednesday 2, Rochdale 0 now. Second goal at Hillsborough as Rondon comes forward into the penalty area and shoots, but he dragged it across the face of goal. First shot in anger for the Venezuelan. The only recognised senior striker at Everton at the moment, with Calvert-Lewin injured. He could do with the morale boost of a goal or two tonight.
He could, and he had the opportunity to pass it to Damari Gray, but he was a little bit selfish, decided to take the shot on himself and just drags it wide of that right-hand post. But good move from Everton, lovely ball through initially for Rondon to get Everton on the attack.
Solomon Rondon, who's only got 1 Premier League goal for Everton so far, came against Crystal Palace back in December. He got a couple of goals in the FA Cup against Boreham Wood as well. But the player brought in by Rafa Benitez has not been able to deliver the goods in his appearances for Everton so far. Lampard out on the edge of the technical area, just down below us, very vocal, getting the instructions to his team. Seamus Coleman has it.
There's no movement, Connor. 0 movement at all from the Everton players, midfielders. Well organised Fleetwood in the way that they've set up against them.
You feel that, you just sense that Fleetwood will sense, that Everton are here to be got at now tonight. This has got all the ingredients for a bit of cup drama. Sean Rooney crosses from the right hand side, but not his best effort. Too close to Asmir Begovic, who makes the save. Distribution out towards Vinagre. Good tackle sliding in Drew Baker, summing up the commitment being shown by Fleetwood in these early stages.
He had to get that right, Baker, because if he doesn't, Damari Gray's scuttling away down the left hand side. Frank Lampard wasn't happy with the tackle on Onana in the centre of midfield, but after he was having none of it and felt it was simulation from Onana, who went down under the tackle from Wiredu.
More live football tomorrow night
Trouble.
here on 5 Live as Dwight McNeil comes forward to the edge of the penalty area, pulls it back for Iwobi, now to Damari Gray, and he's in and he scores. Everton make the breakthrough. They were patient in the build-up. Nice string of passes together, and Damari Gray, a late addition to the starting team tonight after Tom Davis's injury, makes it Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1. Gray with the late goal in the Premier League at the weekend puts Everton in front in the League Cup tonight.
Well, I said before about playing out from the back, and the first time that they try it, Fleetwood, they get caught, they play a lazy ball into midfield, and Dwight McNeil pinches it, plays it quickly into Iwobi. Lovely quick feet from Iwobi to dance away from a couple of challenges, and then he looks to get the shot away with his left foot, but then a lovely disguised pass into Damari Gray. Takes a little touch and then clinical finish into the far right hand corner.
So, Damari Gray, the only Everton player to score this season. Their goal against Aston Villa was a known goal from their former player, Luca Digne. But he's got 1 Premier League goal, 1 League Cup goal now. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1. And a little bit of relief for Frank Lampard, just as Fleetwood Town of League One were beginning to ask questions of his team. Let's go back to Molineux. Wolves against Preston tonight, Sahel Sahi.
Wolves 2, Preston 0. A quite wonderful goal from Adama Traore, linking up with Nelson Semedo down the right. Nelson Semedo lifted up for Traore inside the penalty area on the volley, 18 yards away from a real tight angle. Beautiful goal. Wolves 2, Preston 0.
Thanks very much. So Everton have got their noses in front here. It'll be interesting to see how Fleetwood react to this. Scott Brown, their new coach, will be pleased at how they had played in these opening 28 minutes. Everton, who hadn't had that many opportunities, took the chance when it did arrive. Here is Cian Hayes, teenager, tries to break his way into the Everton penalty area. Too many defenders back there. Comes to Carl Johnson, who's been in around the Fleetwood squad for 3 years now. Had a long spell at non-league Farsley. Getting a run in the team now. Operating in the midfield along with Brendan Wiredu and Harvey McAdam. As Josh Earl here tries an ambitious crossfield pass that he delivers well. And Fleetwood get their way into the penalty area. Garner out to Rooney, right-footed cross into the centre is repelled away. Wiredu though picks it up on the edge of the penalty area. McAdam is taken down by Onana. The referee says it's a fair challenge. Chance of a counter-attack for Everton. Dwight McNeil, Wiredu trying to get back. Good challenge. Didn't let McNeil away from him. And it went out for a throw, but actually I think he's going to bring it back for a free kick. Free kick to Everton on the halfway line for an earlier challenge.
I like Wiredu. I like his commitment and his pressing in midfield. He's not giving the Everton players any time on the ball to pick the heads up, pick a pass.
So the Premier League team in front here at Highbury Stadium. Let's nip to Valley Parade, where it is Bradford 11th in League 2 against Blackburn 4th in the Championship. Steve Wyatt.
And it's all square in the Mark Hughes derby. An equalising goal from Blackburn of very high quality as Aidan and Dolan linked up on the left-hand side. Swift, intricate passing, and Dolan crossed into the path of Bradley Dack, who scored in the last round and has scored again tonight. Bradford 1, Blackburn 1.
Thank you, Steve. Leicester have had a worrying start to the new season. 1 draw, 2 defeats in the Premier League. They're at Edgeley Park this evening to play Stockport. Chris Coles.
And they were very nearly behind, Connor. For all of their dominance, Stockport have just had the best opportunity of the match. Callum Camp's edge of the penalty area, right foot drive, parried behind by Daniel Everson in the Leicester goal. Stockport growing into things. 31 minutes played, 0-0 with Leicester.
Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1 here. Salmon pink. Sunset away to our right hand side as Patterson has got defending to do, leaning into Joe Garner. He had to be careful inside the penalty area, but he has shielded the ball out for a goal kick to Everton away to our left hand side. If you're just tuning our way here on 5 Live, Damari Gray's goal, his second of the campaign, has Everton in front. Stephen Warner.
Took the wind out the sails of Fleetwood a little bit, that goal, because they've been very comfortable in the game. Everton have been gun shy going forward and haven't really created many opportunities, but it's a poor ball out from Michael Keane again.
Yes, Everton continue to make little mistakes. It suggests that Fleetwood might have a way back into this. Cian Hayes picked up with that one, tried a shot from distance, but it was a weak effort. It was tame and it was comfortably saved by Begovic, who clears it out here. Left-footed clearance, not the best one. Patterson is going to give it away here. You can't really blame the wing back there because it was a poor ball from the goalkeeper. Johnson now picks it up for Fleetwood midway inside the Everton half. Sean Rooney into the edge of the penalty area. Jed Garner who scored against Wigan in the last round. Low ball across the edge of the penalty area, cleared away by Nathan Patterson, but just clearing his lines and presenting possession back to Fleetwood once again.
They've got lovely rotation, Fleetwood. They move the 3 out in midfield, 2 midfielders either side of Wiredu. They often go and join in the attacks and become the wide players, and the wide players then drop into centre midfield, and that's causing Everton so many problems. I'm impressed so far with them. Oh, that's poor.
There's a mistake. Now Damari Gray's going to try and capitalise here, but as he tries to run onto a through pass, Drew Baker is able to slide in and clear the ball away. So Fleetwood Town 0, Everton won here. Let's go back to Cambridge against Southampton. Chris Wise.
And the Premier League side still in front by a goal to nil here. Cambridge nil, Southampton 1. Adams with a goal just after the quarter of an hour. They've had another chance since then, Saints. A wild swipe from Ibrahima Diallo after the ball bobbled up to him at the far post, but they've been strong and composed, Southampton. Cambridge nil, Southampton 1.
Chris, can I ask you a question? I know you've got Phil Brown alongside you.
I have.
This is a very strange question. How would you describe his footwear? Is he wearing trainers? Is he wearing leather shoes? What would you describe them?
Well, when I met Phil actually in the car park outside the stadium, and he had some lovely flip-flops on, but they've been replaced. And what are those? They're like brogues, aren't they, Phil? Suedes. Suedes, right. So I was mesmerised by the multicoloured flip-flops earlier that I took my eye off the second change of footwear, you see.
Yeah, I didn't know the flip-flop story was going to come. The reason I bring that up is, in my career, I have twice commentated on games where the expert summariser has worn football boots with studs during the commentary, and Phil Brown was one of those players.
When was that?
What? That was a long time ago. I can't remember. Phil was obviously coaching somewhere at the time, and it comes straight from training.
Straight from work, absolutely.
Straight from work. Always working, Phil Brown. Straight to Grimsby. Charlie Slater's got a goal.
Yeah, and Forest are 2-0 up here with a little over 10 minutes remaining at the end of the first half. Kieran Green for Grimsby, giving the ball away on the edge of his area. You can't do that. Straight to Cafu. Cafu found Sam Surridge. Sam Surridge found the back of the net from 18 yards out. Grimsby 0, Forest 2.
Good night for Forest. Good night for Sheffield Wednesday. They've got a 3-0 lead now at home against Rochdale, and they've reached half-time in that earlier kick-off. Sheffield Wednesday 3, Rochdale 0. Everton on the attack. Vinagre down the left-hand side to the byline. Plays in a low cross, a little bit aimless, doesn't pick out a teammate. Fleetwood are able to clear it away. Damari Gray's goal separates the teams here as Alex Iwobi plays a little nutmeg. That was nice in the midfield. Gives it back to Damari Gray, who spots that Seamus Coleman's got some room on the right-hand side. Everton playing with a bit more fluidity now. They've got their lead at Highbury Stadium tonight. Damari Gray, 10 yards outside the penalty area, gives it back to Iwobi. First time out to Vinagre. They've really increased the pace now, Everton. Vinagre's cross into the penalty area, causing problems, and Danny Andrew puts it out for a corner.
Yeah, before they were taking 4 or 5 touches, the Everton players, they've just dropped it down to 1 and 2 touch now, and they're starting to zip it about the pitch and get it out into wide areas.
So a corner to Everton. And while we wait for it to be taken, quickly to Bolton, another goal for Lee Blakeman.
Villa are level, it's 1-1. I don't think anybody got a touch off Douglas Luiz's corner. I think it's gone all the way in. We wait for confirmation on the scorer, but it's a bizarre goal. Curled in, straight from the corner, 1-1 Bolton and Villa.
Here it is, a corner from Dwight McNeil that was in swinging and cleared away. And Fleetwood happy to see that well outside the penalty area. Seamus Coleman from the centre circle launches a very accurate pass over to the left wing. Iwobi, one touch to control, delivers it into the middle. Chance for Rondon, can't dig it out from between his feet. It is rolled back to Damari Gray here, 10 yards outside the penalty area on the right-hand side as Everton come forward. Fleetwood, who gave this a great go at 0-0, but are now beginning to ship a bit of water, beginning to feel a bit of Premier League heat as Iwobi comes into the penalty area, nice feet, tries to tee up an opportunity, but Michael Keane, who would remain forward from the corner, can't swivel his body in time, and Fleetwood get it away again.
He looks really lively tonight, Iwobi. Lovely feet again. He's at the heart of everything good that Everton are sort of conjuring up front, but the ball into Michael Keane, you want it to go into someone a little bit more goal threatening, if you like.
Yeah, and as predicted by Lee Blakeman at the University of Bolton Stadium, it has been given as a Douglas Luiz goal direct from the corner there. So Bolton 1, Aston Villa 1, equaliser for Stephen Gerrard's team. Kelly Cates here tomorrow on 5 Live. We have got commentary of Rangers, their Champions League qualifying second leg against PSV. John Murray will be in Eindhoven for that one. Commentary will keep you up to date with the League Cup games being played tomorrow as well. As this is Josh Earl, who's played for Ipswich and Burton in the past, Bolton as well at one stage. He's got Drew Breaker alongside him for the first time this evening. Those two pass it between them a couple of times, and then eventually it's launched long and left-footed up over the halfway line. Good flick-on header by Joe Garner to find Danny Andrew, who's almost into the penalty area, but he's up against a very experienced defender in Seamus Coleman. Coleman makes the tackle and puts it out for a throw. We might have a delay here because Nathan Patterson has picked up an injury, and I think he's going to need some treatment. So take your time over this, Steve Wyeth. Bradford against Blackburn at Valley Parade.
This is a really ferocious cup tie, Connor, and Blackburn now have themselves in front. They've come from behind to lead 2-1. Jack Vale with the grunt work, winning back the ball in midfield, bursting towards the edge of the penalty area and sliding it unselfishly into the path of Mark Andy, who was another who scored in the 4-0 win over Hartlepool in the last round and has now put Blackburn 2-1 in front.
Thanks very much, Steve. We haven't heard of Premier League Crystal Palace since kick-off. They're at Oxford tonight. Laura Kenyon's watching.
Still goalless here, but the League One side are playing some lovely stuff. Lewis Bate pulled one wide, top of the box. 17-year-old striker Gatlin Undonka headed past the post. The underdogs, they're holding their own here. It's Oxford United 0, Crystal Palace 0.
Thanks, Laura. Back to Aaron Paul at Carrow Road. Norwich against Bournemouth.
Yeah, Norwich 1, Bournemouth 0. Bournemouth searching for an equaliser, and they've come close. Emi Marcondes has rattled the crossbar from close range up, whilst Jayden Anthony placed a shot and he thought it had gone in. It actually fell wide. Norwich 1, Bournemouth 0.
Thanks very much, Aaron. Here at Highbury Stadium, Fleetwood 0, Everton 1, Damari Gray's early goal. And Everton looking much more comfortable now. Their shaky, rocky end to last season, the start of this campaign, they're hoping this can be a win that can propel them to greater things. Here's Damari Gray again, into the penalty area, trying to get it onto the right boot, not much space, and then, well, Nathan Patterson, you can see what he tried to do. He stabbed the outside of his right boot at it, but it ended up spiralling up and over that top corner he was aiming for.
Yeah, just starting to get the switcher plays now. All the pressure that Fleetwood had in the organisation is just starting to tire a little bit, and Everton starting to pick the passes now. Lovely play from Damari Gray. You can see what Patterson was trying, just the outside of the foot, just trying to stab it into that far corner. Been impressed with Patterson now, really like him.
Yeah. Fleetwood, who are still unbeaten at home under new manager Scott Brown. They are holding it steady here after that disappointment of conceding the goal, but they certainly aren't crumbling. Let's go for an update at Colchester against Brentford with Mike Williams.
0, Brentford 1. The Premier League side finally have the lead, and they've scored with their first shot on target. They've had 71% of the possession, but they were made to wait by the League 2 side, but finally they've made the breakthrough. Keane Lewis Potter, the summer signing from Hull City, with the goal. Lovely through ball, found Lewis Potter on his own inside the box. He slotted low, as cool as you like, into the bottom left-hand corner past the goalkeeper. It is Colchester 0, Brentford 1.
Thanks very much, Mike. Colchester, who lost to Leyton Orient at the weekend. Seamus Coleman has the ball for Everton, right-footed up to Solomon Rondon. He lays it off to Damari Gray. There's an overload on the far side. 2 Everton players with space, and they're picked out. Vinagre dummies across on his left boot, switches back onto the left again. Low cross though, wasn't very threatening, and it's cleared away in the middle by Drew Baker. Everton will come again. The cross is too high for Rondon. Damari Gray will run out of the penalty area right hand side and manages to keep this alive. There's plenty of blue jerseys in the penalty. Damari Gray's poor pass to Onana there, and Everton are going to lose it. Chance of a counter-attack for Fleetwood Town of League One. This is Johnson on the halfway line. Onana putting pressure on him. Johnson did well to smuggle it back into midfield to Harvey McAdam. And technically these Fleetwood Town players are, nice pitch here. They're playing it around. They do look good on the ball.
They do. They're very, very calm on the ball. It's something you can tell Scott Brown's insisting that they do. They try and get it down and play. I just don't know whether they've really got that athleticism up front and that speed to hurt Everton at the back.
And they're going to try and attack down the right-hand side here with Cian Hayes, but out comes the central defender Reece Welch to challenge him, and that will be a throw-in to Fleetwood, level with the edge of the penalty area that they attack down the right-hand side. So Everton bring everyone apart from Rondon back. Frank Lampard stands below us, hands plunged into his pockets, observing the throw-in for Fleetwood, which is taken by Sean Rooney, their right back, but he's given it straight to Dwight McNeil. And Fleetwood have committed a lot of players forward there with the throw in the edge of the penalty area. They need to get back here. Good challenge, Josh Earl, to stop Dwight McNeil in his tracks. Dwight McNeil, who didn't score in his last year and a half as a Burnley player. An unwanted statistic for him for the Premier League last season. I think he had the most shots of any Premier League player without scoring last season. Burnley relegated down to the Championship. He has remained in the top flight with Everton, and so far struggling to make an impact here this evening. There's a goal at Carrow Road. Norwich against Bournemouth. Aaron Paul again.
Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1. This is one of the most fascinating goals I've ever seen, Connor. Some intricate play from Bournemouth. Christian Sadie, though, the youngster just drafted in as Jamal Lowe was ill earlier, has twisted and turned and twisted and turned, and has kind of run onto the ball. It's fired into the path of Angus Gunn in the Norwich goal, deflected out, and there's Emi Marcondes to tap home from a couple of yards out. Bournemouth have an equaliser. Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1.
Yeah, Bournemouth back in it. They had a tough going against Arsenal at the weekend in the Premier League in the 5:30 kickoff. Arsenal getting their third win in succession to sit on top of that formative Premier League table. It's always nonsense looking at the table in August, but Arsenal fans will be, that's for absolute sure. Ball had gone over the stand, so we've had to call for a new one, which has been produced in a goal kick to Fleetwood Town.
I just wanted to go back to Dwight McNeil when you were talking about him before. I went to an England camp with Five Live a few years ago, and Dwight McNeil was sensational. He was called up from the 21s to train with the first team, and he absolutely terrorised the defenders at England. And I thought, this guy's got the world at his feet. He's got so much ability, and like you said before, no goals in what it was it last season at all. And then you look at him now, he looks lethargic and he looks sluggish, and he doesn't look like he's enjoying his football at the moment. And it's such a shame for someone who's so talented.
Always pressure on a player when you come into a new club and you want to make an impact, and he's trying, but it's just not coming off for him at the moment. Dwight McNeil, a very consistent player. I think he'd only missed 2 Premier League games the last 4 years at Burnley. We're going to go to Molineux because Sahil Sahi has a penalty to watch.
And it's Wolves and it's Hwang and it's going to be 3. No, it's not. A poor taken penalty, comfortably saved by the Preston goalkeeper, David Cornell, diving down to his left-hand side. It's still Wolves 2, Preston 0.
Straight to Watford against MK Dons. Flo Pollock.
Yep, League One, MK Dons have taken the lead here just before half-time. The ball was whipped in, and there was Matt Dennis to slot it in at the back post. He ran straight into the post though, and he's down injured, so he might not be able to continue after scoring. It's Watford 0, MK Dons 1.
Thanks very much, Flo. We are in the closing stages of the first half in the 7:45 kickoffs up and down the land. What have you spotted, Stephen?
I'm just saying how many minutes are going to be put on the board. I don't see too many incidents happening within the game.
Here come Everton again. Rondon back to goal outside the penalty area, goes down. Josh Earl was the defender. Referee says fair challenge, and Earl shows a bit of confidence there to swing of the hips, swerve around Rondon and bring play up to the halfway line.
Lovely ball, switch of play that is.
Jed Garner with the switch of play to pick out Keane Hayes. He's into the penalty area. Chad's shot saved Begovic. That's the best from Fleetwood in the game so far. They come again. This is Andrew on the left-hand side. 1 minute being added on for stoppages. That was nearly an equaliser for Fleetwood, just ahead of half-time. And Begovic made to sweat for the first time in the game.
Yeah, lovely play from Josh Earl, stepping out, and then the switch of play. That is really causing Everton problems, but good save from Begovic. Fleet will come again.
Yeah, a bit of confidence. McAdam on the edge of the penalty area, swerving around defenders. Here's Danny Andrew, floats one into the penalty area. The young defender Welsh gets up, and then a shot which is on target from McAdam, however saved by Begovic, and it didn't quite have the power, and Begovic diving to his left-hand side was able to save it comfortably. But he's had more to do in the last 60 seconds, Esmir Begovic, than the previous 45 minutes.
Yeah, it's encouraging for Fleetwood. That switch of play, that long ball, going a little bit more direct, helped them there. A good block from Iwobi. If he hadn't got that challenge in, I'm sure the shot from McAdam would have been a lot sterner for Begovic to get hold of.
Right, well, there's the whistle for half-time, and just right at the end of those opening 45 minutes, a reminder from Fleetwood that this is not done and dusted just yet. On the whole, Scott Brown's got to be pleased with the performance. One piece of real Premier League quality from Everton to carve open the chance for the opening goal, but it doesn't look like these are teams divisions apart here. It's just been a close enough game, too close for comfort for Frank Lampard, but it's Damari Gray's goal that separates them at the break. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1.
Stephen Warnock, can you see anywhere back for Fleetwood second half?
I can, after that little spell at the end there. Listen, the one thing you've got to be is you've got to be good in possession, but you've got to be assertive when you go forward, and that was the first time that we'd really seen that from Fleetwood. But Everton are vulnerable at the back. Michael Keane's not in great form. Reece Welsh, it's his first game, so you're wondering how he's going to fare in that left of the three. But he's inexperienced. You've got to make the most of that. You've got to try and get at these players. But I've been really impressed with Fleetwood. The retention of the ball, the way they play, the way they've set themselves up. But as I said in the commentary, it's just that cutting edge up front and that athleticism to get them behind.
I think what we're all hoping for is goals in the second half, so we don't get any more anecdotes about Fisherman's Friend.
Oh no, I enjoyed that.
Yeah?
I've been educated tonight. What have you given me?
Just loads of stick as usual, Stephen, to be honest.
Yeah, fair enough.
Right, half-time scores starting to come in. Let's take you to Edgeley Park, Stockport County, back in the Football League against Leicester of the Premier League. Chris Coles.
Could do with some goals here as well, Steve. It's 0-0 and not a great deal has happened, in all honesty. Leicester have dominated possession, as you'd expect, but bar a couple of flashing crosses into the penalty area and an Iheanacho shot from distance, they've created precious little. Stockport didn't see the ball for the opening 20 minutes, then settled, and with it came the best opportunity of the game. Callum Camps, edge of the area, a little bit of space, shifted it onto his right foot. Good strike, tipped wide by Daniel Everson in the Leicester goal. I know this is your tip for an upset, Steve. Well, you wouldn't rule it out just yet. Stockport 0, Leicester 0.
Yeah, they are still very much in that one. Unlike League 2, Grimsby against Nottingham Forest, you've got a lot to do, Charlie Slater.
Yeah, might start to write out Phil Brown's tip for an upset. Grimsby 0, Forest 2 at the break. Forest well worth the lead. Quicker, faster, stronger. They're first to every ball. They've taken a vociferous home crowd largely out of this one. Ryan Yates with a brilliant volley to give them the lead after 18 minutes, picking out the postage stamp with his left foot from just inside the 18-yard box. The second goal came 10 minutes before half-time from a Grimsby error, conceding possession to Cafu on the edge of their own box. Cafu found Sam Surridge. Surridge then found the net. Grimsby's biggest threat, a huge throw-in from Jordan Cropper, something of the Rory Delap and Dave Challoner school of launching it. The locals love it. They clap, they shuffle expectantly, but so far it's about all they've had to get excited about. The quality of the Premier League side showing here. Grimsby 0, Forest 2 at half-time.
Well, Bolton have had plenty to get excited about. Very much game on there, Lee Blakeman.
Absolutely right. Great game this. Absolutely brilliant. Bolton 1, Aston Villa 1. The ground was rocking midway through the half. Lee and Charles linking up brilliantly. Charles it was scoring the goal to give Bolton the lead. Villa level 12 minutes later. Douglas Luiz scoring direct from a corner. In swinger from the left. Went straight in to the far top corner, and talk about showing off. He nearly did exactly the same thing again just before half-time. Can't call it at the minute. Bolton 1, Villa 1.
Yeah, that has been one of the goals of the night. Bournemouth's equaliser at Norwich wasn't Aaron Paul.
Yeah, very interesting equaliser. Fascinating, in fact, how Christian Sadie managed to dance through the Norwich defence and play into the path of Emi Marcondes for Bournemouth's equaliser. But it is Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1, not quite the 6-0 last season. Jordan Hugill broke the deadlock for the hosts, latching onto a rebound and lashing home. But Bournemouth were patient and had their chances. Marcondes crashing an effort against a crossbar, whilst Jayden Anthony went close to firing wide. But it was Marcondes who grabbed that equaliser, tapping home after Angus Gunn saved Christian Sadie's initial effort. And at the break, we are level. Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1.
And Marcondes' former club Brentford still lead at League 2 Colchester. Mike Williams.
Yeah, remember they made 11 changes for this match, Steve, but the Premier League side dominated possession and were made to wait for the breakthrough against their League 2 opponents Colchester, but it did eventually come towards the end of the first half through summer signing Keane Lewis Potter, who collected a through ball in the box in space, slotted it very calmly into the bottom corner to score his first goal on his first start for Brentford. Colchester only had 29% possession of the first half and did have half chances through Alex Newby and Tom Dallason's header, but as yet the home side yet to register a shot on target. It is Colchester 0, Brentford 1.
There are 10 Premier League teams playing tonight. Only one of them trails at half time. The one that does could be the story of the night. Crawley versus Fulham. John Southall.
Yeah, Crawley lead Fulham by 1-0. Impressive half from Crawley this. They deserve the lead. It's hard to believe that they're 23rd in League 2. The goal 16 minutes into the half, and Addison picked out Tom Nichols left of the area and he finished it into the bottom right hand corner. They've played some really good stuff. They've worked incredibly hard and there's been a cracking atmosphere inside the stadium. Balagizi just before half time forced a save out of Rodek. Fulham, well, they look like a team who've made 10 changes, yet to have a shot on target, and when you look at their bench, there's not much on there. Under 21 players only. The rest have been given the night off. Leeds and Norwich have both perished here in the past. Are Fulham heading the same way? Crawley 1, Fulham 0.
So Fulham the only Premier League team behind, but there are lots of top flight sides with plenty to think about, including Crystal Palace at Oxford. Laura Kenyon.
Yeah, Oxford United 0, Crystal Palace 0. The League One side more than holding their own. All those injuries, but flashes of real promise from 17-year-old 17-year-old striker Gatlindo Donker, who came the closest to a breakthrough and against a really strong Palace side. Patrick Vieira straight down the tunnel at half-time, knows his side possibly lucky to be going in on level terms. It's League One Oxford United 0, Premier League Palace 0.
It's also League One versus Premier League in Cambridge, and Southampton have the edge. Chris Wise.
Yeah, and I think Ralph Hasenhüttl will be pretty content with what he's seen from Southampton so far. They lead 1-0. Shea Adams got the goal just after 15 minutes. Lewis Payne made it, the debutant. The right back making the move down the right-hand side, pulling it back. Adams with a bit of sharp movement inside the box, a straightforward finish. Adam Armstrong's had one off the line for Southampton as well. I think Mark Bonner will be encouraged by what he saw at the end of that first half from Cambridge. Sekou Jenner had a deflected shot wide from an angle. But Phil Brown, the one word that keeps coming up from you about Southampton's first half performance, attitude.
Attitude, massive attitude. They've chased everything down. They've not let the Cambridge players settle. Mark will be so disappointed at his own players. They haven't expressed themselves. They haven't given themselves a chance. In fact, the first time they got into the Southampton penalty box was about 40 minutes on the clock, and they threatened then. And that's what they need to do, a little bit more of that in the second half. And I'll probably jump off the ship that I'm on with regards to tipping up, and I'll come back with Cambridge United.
Yeah, follow Brownie for his footwear, not for his tips tonight. Cambridge 0, Southampton 1.
They're not flip-flops, they're Crocs. If you listen to Fighting Talk, you'll know exactly what I mean. Let's take you to Molineux. Wolves, Preston, Sahel Sahi.
Yeah, no upset here. Half-time Wolves 2, Preston 0. A strong showing from a strong Wolves 11. A Jimenez goal after 8 minutes set the ball rolling, and then Traore with a quite brilliant volley added a second. There could have been a third. Hoang was fouled in the area. He decided to take the penalty himself, and it was a very poor miss. Half-time here, Steve. Wolves 2, Preston 0.
Burnley have just taken the lead over Shrewsbury. Samuel Bastian with the goal there. Let's take you to Vicarage Road. Watford against League One MK Dons. Flo Pollock.
Half-time, it's Watford 0, MK Dons 1. A game of few chances, but just before half-time, early substitute Matthew Dennis won the ball off the Watford defence, played it wide, then met the cross to find the back of the net. His momentum, though, took him straight into the post, and he's been running gingerly ever since. Work for Watford at the break. It's Watford 0, MK Dons 1.
Bradford started brilliantly against Blackburn Rovers, but the Championship side have turned it around, Stephen Wyeth.
Yes, indeed. It's been a ferociously contested first half between sides separated by 54 places. Andy Cook converting from Scott Banks' cross for his third of the competition to put the League Two side in front, and they also hit the post before Blackburn finally responded. First Aidan and Dolan combined to set up captain Bradley Dack before Jack Vale did likewise for Dylan Markandy. The tackling, Steve, though, has been set to so robust that at one point even Bradford's highly competitive former Rover Mark Hughes winced. Bradford 1, Blackburn 2 at half-time.
Thank you very much, Stephen. Let me run you down the other scores then from the games that we're not at. There is 6 minutes to go in the game between League Two Walsall and League One Charlton Athletic, and Charlton lead by 1-0. One of the goals of the night was scored at Sheffield Wednesday by Jaden Brown. 3-0. They lead Rochdale as it stands. I've just given you that goal. Burnley have taken the lead at Shrewsbury Town. It's Barrow 1, Lincoln City 1. Crawley Town versus Fulham at the moment looks like being the big story. Crawley Town 1, Fulham 0. Derby lead West Brom by 1-0. It's Gillingham 0, Exeter City 0. Rotherham United 0, Morecambe 0, Stevenage 0, Peterborough United 0. And you are up to date with all of the latest scores. 4 other scores I want to bring you as well. Shakhtar Donetsk 0, Metalist Kharkiv 0. Chernomorets 0, Veres Rivne 1, Zorya 3, Vorskla 1, and Kolos Kavalika 1, Krivbas 0. If you're wondering why I'm doing scores from the Ukrainian Premier League, they're all full times. It's because it's the first day of the new season, domestic football returning to Ukraine, which is a fantastic story and one we will do much more on the EuroLeagues later this week. We'll be back to the 100. We're going to hear from Joe Root, and we will continue with the League Cup action. Second half commentary on the way from Highbury Stadium. We'll do all of that after the news with Matthew Bunn.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Cards and flowers have been left at the scene of the murder where a 9-year-old girl was shot dead at her home in Liverpool last night. Olivia Pratt-Cobell was hit in the chest when the gunman chased another man into the property and opened fire. Her mother and the man were also wounded and are being treated in hospital. Beverly Mason, who's the acting Anglican Bishop of Liverpool, says the community will need time to heal.
The church is being active but also very passive, so that it's a steady presence for the people in this community, just to find a place of stillness. It does feel a bit of a circus around here, doesn't it, with all the noise, all the people here, and I think that's just, in a sense, reinforcing a lot of the anxieties for the people in this community.
A student nurse from Essex who went missing for almost 7 weeks has been found in Hampshire. Officers say Awami Davis, who's 24, is well and in a safe place. Scotland Yard and Essex Police had faced questions over their handling of the case and issued pictures of the wrong woman during the police search. They say they'll review their investigation into her disappearance. Bin strikes across 13 more Scottish local authorities are to start tomorrow, despite a 5% pay offer being made. The GMB and Unite unions said they needed more details. Rubbish has been piling up in Edinburgh, where hundreds of union members in the city's waste and recycling service walked out last week. There were delays on the Eurotunnel this evening after a train broke down in the Channel Tunnel. Trains are still running on the remaining line, but at a reduced service. Eurotunnel has apologised for the delays. And the England and Manchester City midfielder Jill Scott has announced her retirement from football just a day after her teammate Ellen White. The 35-year-old played in 10 major tournaments and helped the Lionesses become European champions this summer.
We know our place. It's on the court.
Elena Rybakina wins the Wimbledon title.
At the wicket.
Sophie Love hits that for a sixth crucial boundary for the Welsh side.
On the track.
Ellis McColgan is the Commonwealth champion.
It's on the weightlifting platform.
Emily Campbell, a new games record.
In the pool.
The gold goes to Bethany Firth of Northern Ireland.
And on the pitch.
England, European champions.
Our place is everywhere.
History makers, record breakers, game changers.
This is our BBC.
This is 5 Live Sport
with Steve Crossman.
Could be some shocks in the League Cup tonight. Crawley, second bottom of the Football League, lead Premier League Fulham by 1-0. Two League One teams are holding Premier League sides at half-time. Bolton 1, Villa 1 and Oxford United 0. Injury-ravaged Oxford United 0, Crystal Palace 0. Stockport County back in the EFL 0. Leicester City 0. We've got second half commentary on the way on 5 Sports Extra right now. The men's 100, Oval Invincibles, Birmingham Phoenix, Henry Moran.
Big game this, two sides in the middle of the table at the moment, looking desperately for the points that will see them pushing towards those playoff places. At the moment, looks like it's the Birmingham Phoenix's game. 85 needed from 40 balls for the Invincibles, who have lost Jason Roy, Will Jacks and Riley Rousseau in this innings. They need a partnership. Jordan Cox and Sam Curran looking to provide it.
Henry, thank you very much indeed. Second half's getting underway then in the League Cup. Let's take you back to our commentary game, Highbury Stadium for Fleetwood versus Everton. And Stephen Warnock's with Conor McNamara.
Thanks very much, Steve. Yeah, darkening skies here now. The floodlights beaming down, illuminating the pitch. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1. Damari Gray's goal. The goal scorer for the Premier League of the weekend, scoring tonight in the Carabao Cup. And one change in personnel over the break. Josh Vela, new summer signing for Fleetwood, is going to come on in place of Brendan Wiredu. Vela, who's been named as club captain, having just arrived this summer, former Bolton player. He's also been at Hibs in recent seasons. He is on into the midfield. So fresh legs in that area, which Stephen Warnock alongside me. Fleetwood, did well in those midfield battles, the early stages of the game. And they also did well towards the end of the first half. There was a spell in the middle where Everton did get control, but weren't able to add to that one goal they do have.
Yeah, and I think they've got to take heart for the end of the half and sort of split it up into sections and say, what did we do well? How did we cause Everton problems? I'm surprised Wiredu went off, though. I thought he'd had a good game, whether it was something that was sort of a pre-thought from Frank Lampard, but they forced Everton into an error here, and Patterson's given a corner away.
Yeah, direct play. Fleetwood launching it into the penalty area, and Patterson slicing it out for a corner to Fleetwood right at the very start of the second half. We've played 40 seconds since we've got back underway. This is left-hand side of the field as Fleetwood come forward. It is floated in. Michael Keane, the tall central defender, is up to nod it out. McAdam puts it back into the mix. Iwobi away for Everton, and Fleetwood will hustle to regain possession here. Good work from Jed Garner, and they have it back on the halfway line with Carl Johnson, who tries to float it out to the left wing. Coleman is there to usher it out, and that's going to be, I think, a throw-in. Yes, throw-in to Everton, right full-back position for them. So the teams, Fleetwood with Jakub Stolarczyk, the Polish goalkeeper on loan from Leicester. The back four, Sean Rooney, Josh Earl, Drew Baker, who's making his debut, and Danny Andrew. Josh Villa's now come into the midfield along with Harvey McAdam and Carl Johnson, and then a front three of Jed Garner, Cian Hayes and Joe Garner, who's leading the line through the middle on his first start of the season. Here come Everton. Damari Gray controls it in a central area midway inside the Fleetwood half. Vinagre arriving on the left hand side, takes it into the penalty area, just lost his balance a bit as he tried to scoop it into the middle. Disappointing cross on the Portuguese player, and that's easy pickings for Stolarczyk, the goalkeeper. So Everton lining up with Begovic in goal, three central defenders. Seamus Coleman, he's making his first appearance of the new season. Same can be said about Michael Keane and Reece Welch. They're the three central defenders. Nathan Patterson and Ruben Vinagre, the wing backs. It's Alex Iwobi and Amadou Onana in the middle of the midfield. Damari Gray, the goal scorer, and Dwight McNeil in support of striker Solomon Rondon, who's had one snatch shot that he put across the face of goal and wide. 2 minutes played in the second half. 1-0 Everton lead. Reece Welch, the defender, rolls it into Onana. Not much space with Harvey McAdam staying right beside him. Onana gets another touch here, back to Seamus Coleman, still inside the Everton half of the field. Everton all in blue. Ball played forward by Patterson, looking for Rondon, and Fleetwood will win it back again.
What are you thinking about Onana? I feel like he's almost playing within himself to try and make sure he gets through 90 minutes. I think there's more to come from him, but I just feel like he's thinking, get 90 in me belt, under me belt, and I'll be happy with that tonight.
Yeah, sort of conservative approach. He's not made any runs forward. Very athletic player. He's got those long spidery legs, but it's a good point. He's remaining in that central third area of the pitch so far tonight. Everton's new number 8. He chose number 8 at Everton, same reason that he wore 24 at Lille. The basketball player Kobe Bryant wore those numbers 8 and 24 during his career, and he's the big hero of Amadou Onana. Right, this is Drew Baker. Good first touch, good confidence to take on Vinagre. Vinagre was stretching and he takes him down. It's not a great challenge at all, and the referee is going to reach for his notebook, and that is going to be a yellow card. Yellow card for Ruben Vinagre for that foul on Baker, who made a great run out of defence there.
Yeah, and Vinagre, who's done well at times, he just gets caught the wrong side of him, and you're thinking you don't need to foul him. You've got cover in Reece Welch, who can make the challenge himself, but now he puts himself on a yellow card, and Frank Lampard just turned around, looked at the floor as if to say, why make that challenge?
Right, we're going to go around some of the other grounds in just a moment, but let's stick with this because Fleetwood have got an attacking free kick. It is wide on the right hand side. Danny Andrews come across from left full back to take it, wide on the right wing. This will be an in-swinger, and Everton have brought back everyone to defend it. Andrew, who will start his run up to this off the field of play, and he's going to try and hoist it in and cause trouble for this Everton defence. Here it comes, in-swinging delivery. Oh, it came off the back of the header. Welch, it's nearly an own goal. Begovic scrambling backwards, pushes it out for a corner, and the young defender Reece Welch is mightily relieved.
Yeah, it's a lovely ball in from Danny Andrew. It's a flighted ball, and it makes it so difficult for Reece Welch, but he's helped out, like you say, Connor, from his goalkeeper.
Another reminder here of how fragile Everton's lead is. It's another opportunity for League One Fleetwood Town. Here comes the corner. Andrew rolls this one short to Harvey McAdam. Back to Danny Andrew again. Better angle this time. Really good in-swinging cross. Chance at the back post. Down goes the big defender Josh Earl. Some of the fans scream for a penalty. Play continues. Drew Baker tries to dig it out from between his feet, and Everton are relieved to clear it away. Two very good deliveries into the penalty area there from Danny Andrew, causing all sorts of problems. Let's go to Molineux. A goal. Wolves against Preston. Sahil Sahi.
And a goal to Preston. It's now Wolves 2, Preston 1. Good work from Ben Woodford. Good finish from the edge of the area. The Championship side are back in this tie. Wolves 2, Preston 1.
Thanks very much, Sahil. Fleetwood are trying to get back in this one. They are 1-0 down against Premier League Everton, but they are giving it a really good go. Stephen Warnock.
Yeah, they've got the crowd going, got them behind them. There's been a good response from half-time in the first 5 minutes of this second half from Fleetwood, and it was like pinball in the box, wasn't it? But Everton did well, put bodies on the line, got in good positions to stop it happening, but they've gone a little bit more direct in this second half, Fleetwood, to start with.
Last season Everton beat Huddersfield at this stage of the competition. It was 2-1 at the John Smith Stadium. Alex Iwobi scored that night. Andros Townsend is injured at the moment, scored as well. Moise Keane, remember the Italian striker, he was sent off in that game, proved to be his last game for Everton. I did look it up today, by the way. Keane played for Juventus last night at Sampdoria. He's got some CV. I mean, he's still so young, Moise Keane. He's been at Paris Saint-Germain, Everton, Juventus. Everton, who won at Huddersfield last season, went on to then be eliminated by Queen's Park Rangers on penalties in the next round. By the way, any of the games that finish level tonight, after the 90 minutes, straight to penalties. That's the rule in the second round of the League Cup. Let's go back to Grimsby. Grimsby against Nottingham Forest. Charlie Slater at Blundell Park.
5 gone in the second half. Still Forest leading by 2-0, but Grimsby having a right go in the early stages here. In fact, they come again as they break towards the penalty area now. Could be a shot. Just a few moments ago, Waterfall hit the post with a header as another cross comes into the area. That long throw causing absolute chaos. Blundell Park is alive now. Still 2-0 to Forest though.
Thanks very much. This is Alive 2. Fleetwood 0, Everton 1. The Premier League side grateful for Damari Gray's strike in the first half. That goal, the one piece of true Premier League quality that Everton have shown, the build-up, slick little passes, intricate around the edge of the penalty area, creating the opportunity for Gray, who took it well. Frank Lampard must be wondering how against League One opposition they've not been able to do a bit more of that.
Well, they've not dominated the game, have they? We haven't seen Fleetwood sat back, camped on the edge of the box. They've dominated possession at times themselves in that midfield area. So I agree, Connor. I think they're just being outnumbered, as I said. I think sometimes the formation of a 3-5-2 can be quite negative in the way that you go forward. Today, the 23rd of August, we are entering the final week now of the transfer window. What is becoming a saga with Anthony Gordon. You can only imagine if he does go, and if it's the sort of money that's been reported, Everton will have some cash to splash in these final few days of the window. I mean, it's got to be an attacker, doesn't it? Well, when you think about when the first bid came in from Chelsea, what was that, 2 weeks? Well, probably a week ago, 2 weeks ago. So straight away you're thinking, okay, we've got a ballpark figure of what we might get. Here is Damari Gray on the attack for Everton down the left-hand side. Second goal would really take some wind out of the Fleetwood sails. Damari Gray tries to shoot, but his shot is charged down, and it'll be recovered by Reece Welch, who's one of the more relieved players on the ground tonight, having almost scored an own goal a few minutes ago. But if Gordon does go, I suppose first of all, right, if it's, let's just say it's the 60 million that people are talking about, can they afford to say no to that, even though they're short on attacking players? Well, that's the big question, isn't it? I mean, he's only played one full season in the Premier League, and then you think about, is he really going to progress? Is he going to be the player that Everton think he's going to be? And that's the question, is it? It's all about potential, and you can take that money, you can reinvest it. The big thing is if he stays, then there's pressure on Anthony Gordon to perform, to say, well, this is why Chelsea were in for them. It's such a tough scenario. I think he'll leave, and I think Everton will cash in on him. Goal at Crawley against Fulham. John Southall.
Crawley 2, Fulham 0. James Balaghese, 12 yards out, has just tucked it into the bottom right-hand corner. There's a red flare on the side of the pitch, and Crawley, 23rd in League 2, lead Fulham of the Premier League by 2-0.
Wow, one of the stories of the night. Premier League Fulham, who did make 10 changes in personnel at the start of tonight, but Crawley have taken advantage of that, and Fulham's good Premier League form not following them into the League Cup tonight. Here at Highbury, corner to Fleetwood. It was played cleverly to the edge of the penalty area. That was a smart move. Joe Garner waiting for it, but as he tried to shoot, Seamus Coleman was out to block.
Should have hit it first time. The Van Basten.
Oh, Paul Scholes.
Yeah. Oh yeah, just hit it. Put your laces through it.
Yes, once in a lifetime you'll put your laces through it into the top corner, and the other 999 times it'll go over the top of the stand. He tried to do the sensible thing to Joe Garner, but yes, by the time he had taken the ball down, he didn't really have time to do that, and Coleman was out to smother. Here come Fleetwood again, though, remaining on the attack, playing from left to right as we look down in the red shirts with the white sleeves, white shorts and red socks too. Everton all in blue. Good close touch control from Garner's done well not to lose it there. Here, and Damari Gray fall onto the ground. Cross into the penalty area from Keane Hayes is headed away. Patterson will play a clever ball to Onana in the midfield. He plays a very wayward pass up towards Rondon. He was fouled in the aftermath. I don't think the foul had anything to do with the poor pass, but the follow through in the aftermath will mean a free kick to Everton, and he's gone down holding his face. So Well, we've got the break in play here. Let's nip back to Carrow Road. Norwich against Bournemouth and Aaron Paul.
Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1, end-to-end stuff, but Bournemouth have had the more concrete chances in this second half. Christian Sadie's forced an excellent save out of Angus Gunn in the Norwich goal, whilst Emi Marcondes has fired over the bar from close range. Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1.
Aaron, while we've got you on the break in play, 72 plus of the Football Daily out every Friday. What have you got coming up this week?
Oh, fingers crossed we'll have some cup upsets from this week's round of the EFL Cup. Hoping someone from Ipswich will be joining us. In fact, I believe Lee Evans from Ipswich will be joining us. And we've got a debutant. Mal Benning of Port Vale is one of my co-hosts. Can't wait for it. It's out Friday lunchtime.
Good sell, good promotion from Aaron there. Let's go to Cambridge against Southampton. Chris Wise.
Well, the encouraging start from the League One side in the second half has been punctured. It's Cambridge 0, Southampton 2, and Shea Adams has got his second of the night. The initial shot from Romeo outside the penalty area, saved by Mannion. The only one following in, the one alive, Adams, and he put it inside the 6-yard box. Phil Brown, that has taken the wind out of Cambridge's sails.
And it was well and truly in the sails. You know, it was a brilliant start to the second half. You know, I wouldn't have said they peppered the Southampton goal by any stretch of the imagination, but they were playing with confidence, and it looked like whatever the manager had said to them at half time was working. But that's took the wind out of the sails, and see what happens now. Third goal would be a vital goal. If they go 2-1, it's not over by a long way.
He's had a good few days. Shea Adams 2 against Leicester at the weekend, 2 tonight. Cambridge 0, Southampton 2.
Thanks very much, guys. Let's go straight to Watford against MK Dons. A goal for Flo Pollock.
And League One, MK Dons have doubled their lead here at Vicarage Road. Dara Burns picked the ball up on the edge of the Watford box and fired it into the back of the net. Watford 0, MK Dons 2.
Thanks very much. We're approaching the hour mark in the 7:45 kickoffs tonight. This is the second round of the League Cup. Up and down the country, there are 21 League Cup ties being played this evening. We've got League One against Premier League here. Everton in front thanks to Damari Gray's goal in the first half, but Fleetwood are not out of this yet. It'll be very interesting to see if Scott Brown's team can continue making chances, and if Everton can continue making mistakes as Onana does there. A pass that was, he thought, perfectly in front of Damari Gray. Damari Gray was expecting it to feet. Those sort of crossed wires have plagued Everton, not just the start of this season, but so much of last season too.
Yeah, they don't look fluid, do they? They don't look like they've got that interchange in the way that they think about things going forward. They're quite blunt up front, to say the least, and that's why we're talking about those attacking options coming in.
Yes, will Everton get to splash some cash? Will they get to receive some money between now and the end of the transfer window? It feels like they haven't quite been able to deliver on whatever the plan was at the start of the summer for their recruitment. We're going to Colchester in just a moment, but let's see what Everton do here. Vinagra's been found by a good ball by Iwobi. Low cross into the penalty areas behind Rondon, but it fouls here to Patterson, who shoots, and it's a good save by Stolarczyk. Nathan Patterson looking for his first ever goal for Everton. Denied by Stolarczyk. That's probably the best save he's made tonight.
Yeah, but it wasn't really in the bottom corner, was it? It was a nice height for Stolarczyk to get across to his left-hand side and make for me, quite a comfortable save in the end.
Let's go to Colchester against Brentford. Mike Williams.
Still Colchester 0, Premier League Brentford 1, but the 4,500 home fans here in Essex haven't given up on a cup upset whilst they still trail by that single goal. John Akindi has had a half chance in the early stages of this second half. The home fans still believe. Brentford, though, looking to get a second to wrap this one up. Goal scorer Keane Lewis Potter has looked lively. Remember, he scored in the first half on his debut for the Bees. It's Colchester 0, Brentford 1.
Thanks very much, Mike. Directly in front of us, it's only about 10 metres in front of us, is the Everton bench, and there's all sorts of activity going on down there. It looks like James Tarkowski is going to come on. I think that will say a lot. You know, he's been involved in all the Premier League games so far this season. They are short of defenders at the moment, Everton, and yet Frank Lampard feels he needs the insurance of one of his better defenders at the club to come on now for this last half hour in the League Cup at Fleetwood.
Yeah, I'm also excited to see Warrington as well. I'm excited to see what influence Lewis Warrington can have on that midfield. He had a lot about him, real forward thinking midfielder coming through the ranks at Everton, and like you say, had a good spell last year at Tranmere, so a good moment for him to get some minutes under his belt. But I spoke to James Tarkowski just before the game, and he just said it's one of these games that you just want to play in. And you get yourself ready last night, and you're having your food, and you're thinking, I just want to play in these games. So I'm sure he'll be pleased to get on himself.
Right, so Tarkowski, the summer signing from Burnley, about to come on, and Lewis Warrington, 17 appearances in League Two for Tranmere last season, about to make his Everton debut. For the moment, the goal scorer is on the attack. Damari Gray into the penalty area down the left-hand side. Pulls it back for Onana. Decent shot, but blocked by the side of the head of Josh Earl. The defender bravely getting his head in the way to deny Amadou Onana, who's looking for his first goal for his new club as well. Fleetwood 0, Everton 1. 5 live from the BBC in the Carabao Cup tonight. Michael Keane is possession at the back for Everton. It'll be interesting to see who Tarkowski comes on for. You'd imagine the youngster Reece Welsh, but we will see. Coleman and Keane have not had many games. I don't know quite what their match fitness is like. This is Onana, bang on the centre circle, spiralling a pass with lots of back spinning on it, out towards Patterson on the right-hand side. The cross to the centre was dangerous. Rondon had thrown his body in the air, but cleared away by Josh Earl in front of him. Everton hold on to it on the attack, and Anna's ball is behind Vinagre. He's got to check his run. Sells a dummy which has been bought by Cian Hayes on the edge of the area. Vinagre scoops it into the box. Clever idea. Rondon wasn't quite on his wavelength though, and out comes Stolarczyk to make the save.
Yeah, it's a lovely play for him. Vinagre down the left hand side. You can see what he's trying to do. It's such a cute little pass. It's almost like a lob wedge pass of a golf shot, the way he tries to find him, but good goalkeeping. Comes out alive, gets in front of Rondon.
Ashley Cole down below is giving some instructions to Tarkowski and Warrington as they prepare to come on for Everton. Onana's header to Iwobi. Iwobi was in a tight corner there and he hasn't been able to hold on to it. Cian Hayes will come forward and burst into the penalty area, up against Welch, change of direction, good shot on target, saved by the right boot of the goalkeeper Begovic to put it out for a corner. That was tricky from Cian Hayes. Change of pace, change of direction, and he very nearly scored.
Everton to come back into this game, but just moments like that, you see that they're still vulnerable at the back and there's still opportunities to attack Everton's back line.
We've mentioned the two substitutes that Everton are preparing to come on. Scott Brown, the new Fleetwood manager, about to make 2 changes of his own as the corner comes in, and it's controlled at the back post by Sean Rooney. Lofts it back into the centre, trying to pick out Josh Villa, and his attempted header tamely goes wide. There had been some appeals from Fleetwood that it might have come last off an Everton defender, but the officials say no, and that is a goal kick to Everton, who still lead here by 1-0. So here come the changes. First off will be Nathan Patterson. Nathan Patterson makes way for Lewis Warrington, the 24-year-old who's been on the fringes of Everton's team for some time, finally gets to make his debut, and James Tarkowski will slot in place of young Reece Welsh. So the Everton defence now, Tarkowski and Keane and Coleman, 3 very experienced players, and Lewis Warrington into the midfield as well. Big moment for him, and it looks like he's going to play in the middle alongside Onana. Coleman will go to right back. Everton, Stephen, will play a flat back 4 now.
Yeah, I think it's probably the right thing to do as well. I think that will cause problems for Fleetwood now. Damari Gray will come onto the left-hand side of the 4. Dwight McNeil will head onto the right, and you get 2 in midfield of Warrington and Onana, and then Iwobi just behind Rondon, so it's more attack-minded.
So a change, double change as well for the home side. The players coming off, Jed Garner and Sean Rooney. Promise Omachiri's going to come on. Let's go straight though to Bolton, a penalty for Lee Blakeman.
And Danny Ings has just scored it in front of the Villa fans. He won it, brought down by the keeper, made absolutely no mistake. We've had just over an hour and Villa have turned this one around. Bolton 1, Aston Villa 2.
Thanks very much, Lee. It's Fleetwood 0, Everton 1 here. 25 minutes to play at Highbury Stadium this Tuesday evening on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. This is the second round of the League Cup. Both teams making changes. Here's one of the new players, Promise Omachiri, down the left-hand side. They've taken off a right back to bring on an attacker, which shows you that Scott Brown wants to go for this now. The other player who came on, Daniel Batty, a midfielder, but he's been Fleetwood's top scorer so far this season. He scored in the opening 2 games in League One against Port Vale and against Plymouth. Can he get a goal here that could bring this League Cup tie directly to penalties at the end of the 90 minutes tonight? Damari Gray's goal separates them for the moment. Tarkowski, neat and tidy into the midfield to Lewis Warrington, who's got the bright yellow boots. He'll be easy to spot. Tarkowski then plays it long over the top. Rondon onto it for Everton. Was offside. Flag is raised against Solomon Rondon.
Just goes slightly too early there, and it was good covering from Carl Johnson, who's now playing as the right back. He spotted it, arm went up straight away, and we just know that rule, don't we? Assistant referee on the far side, wait until it's clear and obvious, and give him that couple of seconds before putting his flag up.
We've got a 5 Live Sport podcast all about the US Open out tonight. Steve Crossman, Russell Fuller, Laura Robson and Naomi Brady previewing the US Open. That is available perhaps now, but if not right now, certainly later on this evening from BBC Sounds.
Is there anything Steve Crossman doesn't do?
He's the hardest working man in show business.
He is.
Yeah, absolutely is. As Josh Earl here. I mean, some would say quantity more than quality, Stephen, but, he's certainly put himself out there. Sorry, that's very unfair. This is Iwobi. We love Steve.
Because he can't say anything back.
But that's the joy. That is the joy of it. Warrington here for Everton rolls it back into his own half to Michael Keane. He's had a few little nibbles tonight. I had to get him back there. This is Onana.
Thank you, because he had a little go at me, didn't he?
Onana comes forward for Everton on what has been his first start for the club. There is definitely potential there. But a diamond that still needs to be polished a little bit. No one better than Frank Lampard to learn from as a midfielder. Onana caught there by a tackle and he's hurt himself. He's wriggling on the ground. He's calling for the physio to come out. He's holding his left ankle as the referee comes over and allows the physio on. It's been a game played in a very good nature tonight. We haven't had any bad tackles, but Onana appears to have been on the receiving end of a fairly crunching one there.
Just wondering how serious this injury is, because he's rolling round and he's saying, he's clapping his hands together as if to say it's a clash of ankles or a bad tackle that's gone in on him. He's wriggling round on the floor. I think he's in agony.
Right, concerning times for Amadou Onana. Everton, who was at Goodison Park the opening weekend of the season when they lost to Chelsea, and defender Ben Godfrey picked up a serious injury in that game. And, there's no good time in a season to pick up an injury, obviously, but in the early days, the first few weeks of a campaign, it always seems particularly cruel. Let's hope that's just a collision. And while the Everton medical staff work on Amadou Onana there, let's go for an update to the University of Bolton Stadium. Bolton against Aston Villa. Lee Blakeman.
May well be game over. Bolton 1, Aston Villa 3. Nice move by Villa down the left. One touch, pass, finished off by Luca Digne. Bolton 1, Villa 3.
That's very much so. He scored direct from a corner earlier on in that game. Big crowd at Bolton tonight. Onana's going to be okay. He's back up at his feet, and hopefully that just was a stun that he was feeling rather than anything more serious. He's not come back on just yet. He will wait for the play to get back underway. There are 22 minutes to go. Half of the second half remaining. Still just the one goal between them. Let's go and get an update at Stockport against Premier League Leicester with Chris Coles.
Stockport 0, Leicester 0. Leicester still with all of the ball, but still without the ideas and the creativity to really do anything with it. And Brendan Rodgers, well, he's seen enough. A couple of the big guns are on. James Maddison and Timothy Castagna introduced to try and find a goal against their resilient League 2 opposition. Still the best part of 20 minutes to play. Stockport 0, Leicester 0.
So into the final quarter of the 7:45 kickoffs. Remember, any game that remains level, there won't be extra time. They would go straight to a penalty shootout. Could that happen at Carrow Road? Norwich against Bournemouth. Aaron Paul.
Goalkeeping clinic, the ball lashed across the face of goal. There was a back heel and it fell into the path of Ryan Christie at the back stick. He diverts it towards goal, but there was Gunn sprawling across to make the save. Dean Smith has made 2 changes in attack. Tamer Pukki and Adam Eder have been entered into the fray. Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1.
Here at Fleetwood, it was a nice summer while it lasted, but the rain is now falling in Highbury Stadium. Fleetwood 0, Everton 1. Fleetwood have got possession on the edge of their own penalty area. Josh Vella's got to be careful there. Iwobi nearly stole it off him. Fleetwood are trying to play their way out from the back here. Inside their own penalty area, a succession of short passes, but they trusted themselves. Scott Brown will be pleased with that. They've managed to break up to the halfway line. Everton tried to get players back. Everton have 11 back in the field, with Onana having recovered from that injury. Here's Cian Hayes, tries to take on Tarkowski. Tarkowski, who's seen it all and done it all and has the t-shirt, wins the ball off Hayes. Hayes tries tried to give him a dummy. Tarkowski was having none of it, kept his eye on the ball, and then Rondon wins a challenge against Bell on the edge of the penalty area, makes his way forward, pushes it in front of Iwobi. He's pushed Iwobi too wide. Solid tackle anyway from Josh Earl, and that goes out for a corner. End-to-end action here at the moment. Let's nip back to Oxford against Crystal Palace and Laura Kenyon.
Still goalless, still no breakthrough, and still the League One side holding their own. Premier League Palace just starting to turn the screw, but it's Oxford 0, Palace 0.
Thank you, Laura. Corner to Everton. The Everton fans are housed away to our left-hand side, the Percy Ronson stand, and they applaud Damari Gray as he strides across to take this set piece. Damari Gray, the scorer of the solitary goal that separates the teams here. He's got to run down a little incline. You don't get that often. He runs down a hill to take the corner, and Onana's header, and it's put over the top. That was so close to a goal. Michael Keane blocking almost Onana's header and sending it over the top of the crossbar when it felt easier to put it under the bar.
Yeah, lovely set piece from Everton. Great ball from Damari Gray to the back post, and Iwobi wins the initial header to send it back across goal, and then, like you say, Onana with a good header and then cleared above the crossbar and back out for another corner for Everton.
Damari Gray is going to have a flatter terrain thrown up to this corner. The one on the left-hand side, you start your run up. It's like the ball below your stance in a golf shot. Here's the corner played in. Onana spectacularly tried to bicycle kick it. Not a good connection. Vinagre picks up the pieces. That's a good delivery. Looking for Tarkowski at the back post, but it's headed away. Warrington back into the mix. Here's Rondon. Tight shot from a corner angle, and he puts it out, and it will be a corner. Blocked by Josh Earl. Rondon put the laces through that. Fleetwood hanging on here, 1-0 down. If it goes to 2, it's all over. They are keeping it 1-0 for the moment.
Good defending from Josh Earl. Couple of big challenges in the last couple of minutes. We need to stay strong here, Fleetwood.
Yeah, concentration absolutely key for the League One side. Here comes the latest Damari Gray delivery. Diving header away by Joe Garner. Warrington tries to play it back into the very crowded penalty area, and it's repelled away off Josh Earl and out for a throw into Everton on the left-hand side. Daniel Batty and Obachire have both come on for Fleetwood, but they're having to do a lot of defending at the moment. Crossfield pass controlled on the instep by Damari Gray on the far side. Obachire puts a bit of pressure on him, forces Everton back into their own half once again. Tarkowski distributes it short to Vinagre on the left-hand side, back into the centre to Tarkowski, who just waves his arm in a downward motion, just trying to tell his teammates, okay, take it easy, let's settle. We're 1-0 up here, but Everton rush again, and they do give up possession. Here comes Danny Andrew, who's looked dangerous every time he's come forward. He comes in field of Onana, but then he's tackled on the edge of the box by Warrington. Warrington can't fully clear. Chance of a snapshot. Daniel Batty was off balance as he took it on the edge of the box, and Everton clear it out for a throw-in. Good spell this, though, for Fleetwood at the moment. Let's go back to the Kassam Stadium. A goal for Laura Kenyon.
And it's the Premier League side who've taken the lead. Oxford Edouard with a classy finish after a wonderful through ball. Moment of class. And it's Oxford United 0, Crystal Palace 1.
Thanks very much, Laura. Fleetwood remain on the attack down the right-hand side. 16 minutes of normal time to play. They're going to throw everything and try to get an equaliser here. Cian Hayes, twinkle toes, into the penalty area. Tarkowski comes out, stops him again. Omachiri tries to keep it alive. Warrington needs to get rid of it here, and he's dilly-dallied a bit inside the penalty area. Hayes tries to spin around him again. Warrington helped out by Vinagre, and Everton just about get it away. Fleetwood are applying pressure here.
Tarkowski did well with the initial tackle on Cian Hayes because he danced his way into the penalty box, past a couple of players, but Tarkowski just stood tall. Good period from Fleetwood.
Yeah, he's a tricky little player. He's not very tall. Cian Hayes, he's got that low centre of gravity, and he likes to twist and turn his way when he dribbles. And he's caused a few problems for Everton. Mind you, Tarkowski's been the one who stopped him on the last 2 occasions with very well-timed tackles. Right, Everton are going to make another change here. Why they do, we'll nip back to Colchester against Brentford. Here's Mike Williams again.
Home side enjoying their best spell of the match so far, Connor. They still believe they can nick an equaliser here against Brentford and maybe take it to penalties. Remember, they knocked Spurs out of this competition 3 years ago here. So they still believe. They still trail though by a goal to 0, but in the last few minutes a brilliant header from Alex Newby diving at the far post was pushed round for a corner, and just a moment ago Tom Dallison almost scored direct from his resultant corner. Thomas Frank has seen enough. He's brought on the cavalry. On come Josh Da Silva, Johan Visser and Ivan Toney to try and wrap this up for Brentford.
Thanks very much, Mike. Here at Fleetwood, a debut for Stanley Mills, who is the son of former Leeds United, Manchester City, England defender Danny Mills. Proud night for the Mills household as Stanley Mills makes his debut. He only signed a new 3-year contract earlier on this month. He's on, a midfielder, as Everton come on the attack. Across from the right-hand side by Seamus Coleman. He's controlled on the edge of the penalty area by Josh Earl, and Fleetwood look to clear the ball away. Stanley Mills gets a chance to apply a little bit of pressure here on Carl Johnson. Johnson just about eludes that, and the ball is played back to the goalkeeper Stolarczyk away to our left-hand side. Stanley Mills has another brother, George, who's a 1500 metre champion runner. So they've been well coached in the physical side of things by their dad, Danny. Here comes another Danny Andrew down the left-hand side. His cross cleared away on the edge of the Everton penalty area. This isn't over yet, and Frank Lampard's Premier League Everton, Stephen Warnock, have not been able to put this to bed.
No, they haven't at all. And then obviously with the introduction of Stanley Mills and then Lewis Warrington as well in that midfield role, they have gone a little bit younger, a little bit more inexperienced, if you like, and can Fleetwood make the most of that?
It was Damari Gray who went off to allow Stanley Mills to come on, so a few youngsters of the team now. Lewis Warrington, Stanley Mills, 2 debutants for Everton. And as Fleetwood have possession of the back, this is Josh Fellows just dropping in level with the centre halves to have it, creeping into the centre circle now and playing a long ball down the left wing and picking out Joe Garner, who's controlled it well. Support from Omachire in the penalty area. Michael Keane there to chaperone him. Back to Harvey McAdam on the left-hand side. And that's a very forceful delivery. Too much on it into the penalty area and harmlessly out for a goal kick to Everton, who are 12.5 minutes away from a place in the Carabao Cup 3rd round. They lead here by 1-0. Stephen Warner.
Yeah, it hasn't been the perfect performance from Everton, but I'm sure if they left here with a 1-0 victory, it's job done. It's more minutes in the tank, and it's that progression to get confidence into the squad.
Rotherham United 0, Morecambe 1. Rotherham have only had 1 win in their opening 5 league games of this season in the Championship, and at Blundell Park it's been a good game tonight. Charlie said he's seen another goal, Grimsby against Nottingham Forest.
Indeed, yeah, this goal's gone to Forest. Good night, Grimsby. Less than 15 minutes to go. Forest 3 up here now. It's Surridge's 2nd of the night. Nicely worked across the edge of the 18-yard box. Surridge firing home from the 18 yards out. Forest heading for the 3rd round of the Carabao Cup.
Thanks very much, Charlie. Nottingham Forest to host Tottenham in the Premier League on Sunday. Big game for them, particularly after that victory in the last home match against West Ham. I was at the City Ground for that. I mean, just wonderful sense of occasion even before a ball had been kicked, and they rode their luck. Dean Henderson saved a penalty and whatnot, but there's a great atmosphere at the City Ground. There really is. Nottingham Forest, it's a city that is so proud of that team and what they achieved in the past, and they're hoping that new chapters have been written now.
Yeah, I think the big thing is you think of Leeds United coming back up into the Premier League, 2 huge clubs steeped in history, and they've spent so long out of the Premier League that the fans aren't going to not enjoy the occasion. They're going to get behind the team. They're going to give them that little bit of leeway when they need it, because they're not going to hit the heights that they hit in the Championship last year. It's going to be difficult for them at times, but I think Steve Cooper's done some really good business, and he's spent a lot of money.
He has. I mean, in many ways, those 2 clubs, Forest and Leeds, were the cautionary tale for Everton last season. No way are you too big to go down. Everton, a very big club, but they flirted dangerously close to relegate. There's a parallel universe in which Everton were starting in the Championship this season, and who knows where that would have led. Anyway, let's go to Edgeley Park. Stockport against Leicester. Second time I've done that. Chris Coles.
Very nearly, Connor. A breakthrough for Leicester City. James Maddison sent on as a second half sub to try and get the goal. He was only a couple of yards wide with a right foot shot from the edge of the penalty area. Still anyone's game this. 30 minutes to play. Goalless.
Let's go to Crawfull. John Southall.
15 minutes to play. Crawley at the moment, I have to say, looking reasonably comfortable. They lead Fulham by 2-0. That key second goal from James Balagizi on loan from Liverpool. The 18-year-old took it really well. We're slightly behind you, Connor, so about 15 minutes left to play. Crawley of League 2 still lead Premier League Fulham by 2-0.
We're talking there about Nottingham Forest and their transfer policy and spending money and bringing in so many players. Fulham did that a few seasons ago. I remember they brought in Jean-Michel Seri, and they spent a huge amount of money and it didn't work. Too many players brought in, they didn't gel, and they didn't stay up more than the one campaign that year. Nottingham Forest seem to have recruited. Certainly they've spent more. Maybe they've brought in more quality. We will find out as the season progresses. Back to Carrow Road. Any breakthrough there? Norwich and Bournemouth. How does it stand, Aaron Paul?
Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1. We're crawling towards penalty kicks here. I think tiredness is very much kicking in amongst some of these players here, Connor. Again, Bournemouth, the most expansive going forward. Jack Stacey's just fired one over the bar, but they lack any form of output up front. It is Norwich 1, Bournemouth 1.
Here is Dwight McNeil in possession for Everton. 9 minutes to go. Everton lead thanks to Damari Gray's goal in the first half. Rondon played to his feet again. This has happened so many times tonight, but he can't do anything with it. Drew Baker's able to clear away for Fleetwood. They have it on the left-hand side with Danny Andrew. Now Omachire still in their final third. Scott Brown really has drilled into his players to not be afraid to play it out for the back, even against Premier League opposition tonight, and they've worked their way very well up to the halfway line here now. This is Johnson just down below us. Frank Lampard is still animated down in that technical area, and he knows that this lead is too slender for comfort. We might have a little break in play here because is that Cian Hayes who's gone down, and Hayes looks like he might need some treatment. Fleetwood have worked their socks off tonight. And he's back up on his feet, but just stretching out his legs. Bit of cramp for Cian Hayes there. Hayes, who made his Fleetwood debut just a few weeks after his 16th birthday. He's been in around the squad for a few years now. Let's get an update from the cricket. The 100. Melissa Story at the Oval.
Well, it was an incredible finish to this game between the Phoenix and Invincibles men, with the Phoenix picking up the win by 10 runs. They were set a total of 167 to win. The Invincibles weren't quick out the blocks, with early wickets stemming the flow of runs. A bit of resistance from Sam and Tom Curran, both scoring 30. But in the end, the Birmingham Phoenix just sneaking through with that win in the end, and they go up to the top, or number 3 in the table, and the Invincibles sink down to 5.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Speaking of sneaking through, Aaron Paul at Carrow Road.
Norwich 2, Bournemouth 1. This is some gorgeous play from the home side. The ball played down the line by Max Aarons, in through a gap to Teemu Pukki. He fired across goal, and there was Adam Eder with the deftest of touches to take it past Neto. Norwich 2, Bournemouth 1.
Thank you, Aaron. So the prospect of penalties looking less likely there. Free kick to Everton midway inside the Fleetwood half. Foul on Rondon, and Everton have just got to see this through now. It has not been as an impressive a performance as Frank Lampard might well have been hoping for, but one of those nights really where it's the result, isn't it? I mean, Steve Crossman put it to you, Steve Warnock, right at the start of tonight, to say that no one's going to really praise Everton for winning here, but losing, that would have been so punishing.
Yeah, it would have been, and you can say that Fleetwood have been good on the night and Everton have been poor, but at the end of the day we'll only look at the result, and that's all that matters to Everton and to Frank Lampard in progressing this team going forward. Everton who are starting a run of 3 away games in a row here at Fleetwood tonight. They go to Brentford on Saturday in the Premier League, then they go to Elland Road, and as the free kick is played by Lewis Warrington, he put a little bit too much on that, and Tarkowski is unable to keep it in play, and that's a waste of a free kick for Everton, just when you should be running the clock down, frustrating the opponents. From an attacking free kick, Everton have given the ball to Fleetwood. Now, it mightn't damage them too much tonight, but that's the sort of thing they've got to improve if they're going to get up the Premier League table. Yeah, one thing I would say though is it's a nice ball in from Lewis Warrington, but James Tarkowski just makes the run too early. He sets off too early. You've got to wait until the set piece taker is ready to take it and really stepping up to the ball.
Late change for Scott Brown, the Fleetwood manager. He takes off midfielder Harvey McAdam. He brings on Kyle White. As we go back to Stockport against Leicester, back to Edgeley Park, Chris Coles.
Leicester piling on the pressure as we enter the final 7 minutes. Yuri Tillemans has just come close from distance. He often deals in the spectacular. This wasn't far wide from around 25 yards out. James Maddison has also come close. It is all the Premier League side, but it is still Stockport 0, Leicester 0.
Thanks very much, Chris. The closing stages now at Highbury Stadium in Lancashire. 5 minutes of normal time to play. Everton 1 goal in front, and they haven't really looked like extending that lead at all. Rondon chests it down for Iwobi. Back into Rondon, who can't control. Groans from the Everton fans behind the goal that they attack away to our left-hand side. Stolarczyk clears it, right-footed, up over the halfway line, flicked on by Joe Garner, trying to pick out Omachire. It nearly worked, However, the referee blowing the whistle for a push. Omochire, I think, leaning into Seamus Coleman. I think that's what it was. And that's a free kick to Everton and for Asmir Begovic away to our right-hand side.
You said before about Rondon, you were talking about the balls into his feet, and we talk about the Premier League and we talk about the athleticism now and the speed in which players move. He's a little bit static, isn't he? He's a little bit rigid in the way that he plays, and you often look at some of the play and we judge Everton on the way they're playing the ball up front and what's happening. A lot of it slows down when it comes into him, and you just need that focal point to be playing on the shoulder, running in behind, little balls give and go, spinning and going, and he's not that type of player, but he definitely slows Everton down.
Well, Everton had 19 shots at the weekend against Nottingham Forest. They scored 1 goal. Tonight they can't have had more than 3 or 4 shots. If you were Frank Lampard, would you start Rondon now in the Premier League at the weekend, or would you go back to that sort of false 9 with Anthony Gordon through the middle?
Well, if Gordon's still at the club, then you'd look at him. The big thing for me, though, is that Rondon's a better option there because he's more natural with his back to goal. But Anthony Gordon, I think there's been a few occasions, especially against Chelsea, where he's seen great balls going into the box and he sort of ducks his neck because he doesn't really want to get hurt going into that position, whereas I think Rondon would throw himself at it. But I think the big thing is that they need Dominic Calvert-Lewin back fit, don't they?
Absolutely. Everton's attacking options threadbare. For a Premier League club who've not, I mean, even if Calvert-Lewin had been fit, you would still think they would have needed another striker. It's been a strange transfer policy this summer, and it's not like they weren't given a huge scare last season either. I mean, the warning signs have been there for so long. Dwight McNeil takes this free kick for Everton, bounces once inside the 6-yard box, and Anna tried to slide onto it but couldn't get a touch, and it goes out for a goal kick. Nice moment for Sam Glenfield, 17-year-old, who's just been brought on by Scott Brown for his Fleetwood debut. He's not going to get long here tonight, but 17-year-old can now say he's played against Premier League opposition. Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1. Closing stages of Colchester against Brentford. Mike Williams.
Brentford desperately trying to wrap this one up. They still lead Colchester by a goal to 0 with 3 minutes remaining, but they've just hit the crossbar. Substitute Ryan Trevitt clattering the crossbar with his effort after Baptiste's shot was parried out by the Colchester keeper, and Ivan Toney's just tested the home keeper as well. Brentford knocking on the door. 3 minutes left. They still lead the League Two side by a goal to 0.
So in terms of games that might go to penalties, Barrow and Lincoln City is still 1-1. There's a lot of games that have only got 1 goal between them. Gillingham against Exeter still 0-0. Stevenage and Peterborough United still 0-0. So there could be a few penalty shootouts up and down the land. Could Fleetwood, with only 90 seconds of normal time remaining, join them if they can get an equaliser here against Everton? A goal, Cambridge against Southampton, back to Chris Wise.
This one is not going to penalties. Cambridge 0, Southampton 3. It's the debutant, 17-year-old Don Ballard. Initial shot saved, followed it into the top corner, right in front of those Southampton fans. Lovely moment for Ballard, Phil Brown.
Fantastic for the boy, absolutely fantastic. I mean, Cambridge have been playing within themselves, they've been playing with fear, and all of a sudden that's the reason why. 2 passes from the goalkeeper to Dominic Ballard, putting it in the back of the net. It was unbelievable. They've split the whole of the team the length of the pitch, and Ballard deserved what he got there.
Really professional performance on the Premier League team tonight. Cambridge 0, Southampton 3.
It's a wonderful conveyor belt, that Southampton Youth Academy. A goal at Bolton against Aston Villa. Lee Blakeman.
Game, set and match. Bolton 1, Aston Villa 4. Leon Bailey on as a sub, cutting in from the right, side foot finish across goal, bottom corner. All over now, in front of more than 20,000 here tonight, by the way. Bolton 1, Aston Villa 4.
Well, that's excellent for Bolton. The crowd, that is, not quite the scoreline. And Leon Bailey, he's a player you'd love to see get a run of fitness. He looks so good, but seems to be continually dogged with problems. You'd love to see him get a real run in Stephen Gerrard's team. He's on the score sheet tonight.
Yeah, I think one of the big problems with him is that what's his best position? And I think that's one of the problems that Stephen Gerrard's having with him. Had an exceptional pre-season, but then when called upon in the first game of the season, went missing at Bournemouth, and that's the problem with him.
4 minutes been added on here for stoppages. Bailey got a lot of goals in the Bundesliga in the past. Down goes Onana. Everton are going to get a free kick. Challenge was by Drew Baker. Baker, who's had a very good game. He's a young, raw central defender. He's been up against some experienced operators tonight, the likes of Iwobi and Rondon, and he's done well, but that was a foul, and Everton have got this free kick 15 yards or so outside the penalty area. They've announced locally here Sean Rooney, the Fleetwood right back. They reckon he's been the player of the match tonight, as Everton are just hoping to get out of town here with their names in the hat. They haven't exactly covered themselves in glory, Frank Lampard's team tonight, but if they go into the third round, they will see that as a mission accomplished tonight.
There's a lot of teams at the moment who aren't hitting the ground running. They're struggling at the start of the season. As you look at Arsenal's start and you think how well they've started, but there's a lot of teams who've struggled to really get any rhythm going early on in the season, whether that's from the shorter pre-season because of the way the season is going to unfold, and have teams altered the pre-seasons accordingly for that.
Free kick to Everton here just outside the penalty area, but let's go straight to Colchester. Another goal from Mike Williams.
Brentford have wrapped it up now, Connor. They lead Colchester by 2-0 on the stroke of injury time. Ivan Toney, the substitute, with a flick header from a corner, actually got diverted in off the head of his fellow teammate Mads Beck Sorensen, who will claim that second goal. It's Colchester 0, Brentford 2. The Bees, the semi-finalists, remember, 2 years ago, heading into the next round.
Thanks very much to Mike Williams. The goals flowing in late in the games, up and down the land in the League Cup second round. A late one at Oxford for Laura Kenyon.
Yeah, Oxford United 0, Crystal Palace 2. Palace doubled their lead, a penalty buried by Luka Miljokovic. Heartbreak for the League One side, who've been far from outclassed. But on the stroke of full time, it's Oxford 0, Palace 2.
And Crystal Palace have had a steady start to the campaign, beaten by Arsenal in the opening game, but since then a win and a draw. And Patrick Vieira has certainly been building a momentum as he moves into his second season in charge there. Let's then back to Stockport against Leicester. Chris Coles.
Into 4 minutes of added on time. Still Stockport 0, Leicester 0. Penalties are looming. Leicester are still dominating, but they're still failing to create anything clear cut. And we are edging closer and closer to a penalty shootout. Stockport 0, Leicester 0.
Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1 here. Damari Gray's goal seems a long time ago now. It came in the first half. Everton have not been able to build upon it. We are in stoppage time now at the very end. Onana gets the ball back from Vinagre midway inside the Fleetwood half. He's got Lewis Warrington, the young debutant, in field of him. Seamus Coleman making his first appearance of the season. Stanley Mills then plays it forward down the right wing, and Coleman, who hardly came forward at all tonight, makes a sprint down that right channel, but beaten to it by Josh Earl. Another late goal at Carrow Road. Norwich against Bournemouth. Aaron Paul.
Norwich 2, Bournemouth 2. Brooklyn Genesini, not even listed on the squad list or the team sheet, has equalised at the death for Bournemouth. The ball played in from the left, and there was Genesini, just tapped and sort of stabbed at it, Connor, and it fell into the back of the net. Tamo Pukki has just fired over for Norwich. No one wants this to go to penalties. Norwich 2, Bournemouth 2.
Thanks very much, Aaron. We are almost done and dusted here at Highbury Stadium. Scott Brown is about to lose at home as things stand for the first time as Fleetwood manager. He is new to the job. You can see that he's got some talented youngsters here. I think it'll be interesting to track Fleetwood's progress over the course of the campaign. Scott Brown has certainly got them playing with a belief, because they have not shied away from the challenge of taking on Premier League opponents tonight, Stephen Warren.
No, well, often we talk about clubs and we talk about managers and we say, what's the identity? What are you going to bring into the club? I can see an identity already with the way they play. I'm very impressed with them.
There it is, the full-time whistle. Fleetwood are out, and Everton advance to the next round of the Carabao Cup at the expense of the League One side. It is Everton's first win in any competition this season. Scott Brown suffers his first home defeat since taking charge of the club, and Frank Lampard, for the first time, will enter a dressing room at the end of the game this season and congratulate his players on getting the job done. But I don't think he'll be too profuse in his praise, Stephen Warner.
No, I don't think he will. I think there's a lot to work on. He'll know that as well. He'll see it as good opportunity to work on a few things, blood a few of the youngsters. It was good to see the youngsters getting onto the pitch, who did extremely well. Reece Welsh had a solid game, probably got a little bit leggy towards the end, and that's why he was bought off. But nice for Lewis Warrington and Stanley Mills to get a run out and showcase what they can do.
Yeah, a few players who needed miles on the clock. Seamus Coleman, Michael Keane, Amadou Onana amongst them. Everton can just hope, I think, Steve, that this could be a turning point in their season now. They have finally got their first win of the campaign. They hope there will be more, starting with Brentford at the weekend. But for now, Fleetwood Town 0, Everton 1, Everton through.